Chapter 1253. Crossing this bridge for 10,000 years, the other shore will never return. The Tao charm on the red bridge grew more and more rapid, but Ning Qing gradually relaxed. Ning Qing understood what was going on. Although the person controlling the sixth bridge was in a hurry to control the sixth bridge, he had the Seven Bridges Realm book. Ning Qing didn't know where the Seven Bridges Realm book came from before. But now, he had some understanding about it. According to Li Feng, the Seven Bridges Realm book was a treasure that could repair the Tao of reincarnation. To repair the Grand Essence Realm and the Grand Essence Realm's reincarnation Tao, Ning Qing had done a lot of research in this area. After his deductions and guesses, he had a vague feeling in his heart. The Dark Nether Realm originally included the Seven Bridges, which formed the reincarnation path of the entire Dark Nether Realm. Later, during the Ancient War, the Tao of reincarnation was broken. After the Underworld Realm's Seven Bridges shattered, the Seven Bridges Tao charm laws transformed into the Seven Bridges Realm book, which hid itself between heaven and earth. Later on, the broken Seven Bridges appeared in various places. But whenever the Seven Bridges Realm book, which was formed from the law's Tao charm, encountered these broken Seven Bridges, it would directly absorb them into the Seven Bridges Realm book. Therefore, after obtaining the Seven Bridges Realm book, one could look for the broken Seven Bridges to absorb. After absorbing the Seven Bridges, the person who obtains this book can cultivate the Seven Bridges divine art. Once the sacred art was perfected, the Seven Bridges would be perfected. Ning Qing had a deep understanding of this point. In fact, when he obtained the first 5 bridges, they were not complete. It was only under his cultivation and the condensation of his Taoist rhymes that the 5 bridges were perfected. Once he collected all 7 bridges and successfully cultivated the 7 bridges spirit technique, the 7 bridges realm book would be completely restored. Only after the Seven Bridges Realm book was repaired could it be used as a treasure to repair the Tao of reincarnation. Otherwise, even if he found all the other treasures to repair the Grand Essence Realm, he couldn't use the Seven Bridges Realm book to repair the Tao of samsara. The only thing Ning Qing wasn't sure about was whether the Seven Bridges Realm book only repaired the Grand Essence Realm's underworld, or the entire 5 Grand Realms underworld, or something even larger. However, the thing that bound Ning Qing with the Tao charm of the other shore and almost made Ning Qing rush out of the broken red bridge should be the real 6th Pramitha bridge. The 6th other shore bridge was one of the 2 bridges that Ning City didn't have. Although the Tao charm of the 6th opposite shore bridge was getting more and more intense under the other party's control, the Seven Bridges Realm book was too powerful for the Seven Bridges spirit technique. The Realm book directly took away the Tao charm of the 6th Pramitha bridge. No matter how much the other party urged it, the Tao charm of the red bridge gradually weakened. Ning Qing secretly breathed in a sigh of relief. If he didn't have the Seven Bridges Realm book, he would have ended up in a miserable state after falling into the 6th Pramitha bridge. Apart from entering the mysterious yellow bead, he couldn't think of any other way to break free from the other shore bridge and escape from it. An angry scream erupted from the other side of the Black River. It seemed that this person also knew that he couldn't fight against the Seven Bridges Realm book. After the angry roar, the Tao charm of the 6th shore bridge suddenly weakened, and it started to turn illusory under Ning Qing's feet. Ning Qing immediately understood that this person wanted to take away the 6th Pramitha bridge. Without the Tao charm shackles of the 6th opposite shore bridge, Ning Qing felt much more relaxed. He crossed the Black River with a single step, and the divine spear of creation swept up billions of Tao rhymes and killing aura as it blasted towards the opposite bank. Ning Qing didn't want the other party to take away the 6th opposite shore bridge. Once the other party took away the 6th opposite shore bridge, he would have to work twice as hard to perfect it. As a result, his cultivation of the 6th opposite shore bridge's spirit technique also became much slower. The divine spear of creation spear intent swept up a monstrous killing aura and blasted towards the person on the opposite bank who had just taken away the 6th opposite shore bridge. In front of the divine spear of creation, a fist that almost covered the entire space suddenly blasted out. If Ning Qing swept away half of the killing aura between heaven and earth, then the other half was swept away by this fist. Boom! A terrifying muffled explosion erupted between heaven and earth as the fist and Ning Cheng's divine spear of creation collided. The Tao charm split apart, and the laws around it collapsed. The violent force slammed into Ning Cheng's divine spear of creation, causing Ning Cheng's chest to feel stuffy. His spiritual consciousness and spirit essence also turned sluggish, and his entire body flew backwards. Cha-cha-cha, the place where Ning Cheng retreated opened up a deep ravine from his killing aura. When Ning Cheng stood still, he looked at the man in front of him in surprise. Previously, he had thought that the other party was just relying on the sixth opposite shore bridge to show off his power. Now, it seemed that the other party was also ridiculously strong. The man in front of him also looked at Ning Cheng in shock. His face was mottled with copper rust, and his facial bones were extremely large. He had long hair that draped over his shoulders, and he was thin and tall. In Ning Cheng's opinion, the man in front of him was already at the Tao integration realm. In front of him, there was a ravine that was the same as the one Ning Cheng had formed when he retreated. The laws between the two of them were reduced to ruins by this clash. You're obviously only at the early stage primordial chaos. Why are you so strong? The long-haired, thin man did not continue to attack Ning Cheng. Instead, he asked Ning Cheng in surprise. Ning Cheng did not answer the man. Instead, he asked, "Tell me first, did you know that I was coming? How did you know that I was coming? And who are you? Are you the one who destroyed the Yin family? If you can tell me this, I can answer your questions." Okay. The long-haired, thin man said without hesitation, "I destroyed the Yin family, and I can also give you a piece of information. I destroyed the Yin family because they had the sixth opposite shore bridge. You won't know my name, but I'm Zhong Wuchen. As for how I knew that you were coming, it was because of the sixth opposite shore bridge. Anyone with a lower bridge divine power than the sixth opposite shore bridge would sense this place and come in to deliver the bridge to me." Ning Cheng looked at the long-haired, thin man in front of him in shock. He had not expected that Zhong Wuchen would be here. Others might not know Zhong Wuchen, but he did. Zhong Wuchen was really obsessed with the seven bridges divine power. However, he had not wasted his energy and found the sixth opposite shore bridge. From this, it could be seen how ruthless this guy was. He killed people almost without blinking. It was easy to say that he had destroyed the Yin family for the sixth opposite shore bridge. However, the strange thing was that he had not come here because he had sensed the sixth opposite shore bridge, but because of the broken axe blade of the good fortune indestructible axe. Could it be that Zhong Wuchen had lied to him on purpose? Ning Cheng quickly overturned this idea. Zhong Wuchen shouldn't have deliberately lied to him. It was likely that he had the Seven Bridges Realm book, and the first 5 bridges he cultivated from the Seven Bridges Realm book weren't any weaker than the sixth opposite shore bridge in terms of grade. Of course, there was another possibility. That was, his Tao was stronger than Zhong Wuchen's, and Zhong Wuchen couldn't use this method to lure him over. You can answer my question now. Why are you so powerful even though you are only at Tao fusion? Also, where did you get the Seven Bridges Realm book? Of the Seven Bridges spirit techniques, how many bridges have you learned? Zhong Wuchen asked again when he saw Ning Cheng not speaking for a long time. Ning Cheng looked up at the Seven Bridges Realm book floating above his head. A vague bridge shadow had already appeared on the 6th page of the Realm book. This bridge shadow was actually the sixth opposite shore bridge with 2 broken sides. Red Spider Lily and Mandara Flower looked at each other across the endless mournful Tao charm. The sixth opposite shore bridge had already reached this level. Even if Zhong Wuchen didn't take out the remaining parts, he could still complete the sixth bridge. At worst, it would just take a bit more time and get a bit tired. My cultivation method is much stronger than yours. That's why I'm so strong in the Tao fusion realm. I obtained the Seven Bridges spirit technique in the Grand Essence ruins. So far, I've cultivated a total of 5 bridges. Ning Qing quickly answered Zhong Wuchen's question. His answer was a bit vague. Although he said that he obtained the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique in the Grand Essence Ruins, he didn't obtain the 7 Bridges Realm Book in the Grand Essence Ruins. Zhong Wuchen didn't care that Ning Qing spoke about the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique and not the 7 Bridges Realm Book. Just when Zhong Wuchen wanted to continue asking, Ning Qing interrupted him, "Now it's my turn to ask you. Zhong Wuchen, since you destroyed the Yin clan, why did you stay in the Yin clan's residence? Why did you even set up a trap here? Did you do those 3 chains?" Zhong Wuchen replied with an expressionless face, "The reason I stayed here and set up a trap here is because the Yin clan's residence has a peerless Yin vein. You can't find this kind of Yin vein anywhere else. As for setting up a trap, of course, it's to attract more people to send cultivation resources. At the same time, it also provides some Yin souls that I need. That's all. As for those 3 chains, I'm just using them. I don't know who left them behind." After quickly answering Ning Cheng's question, Zhong Wuchen suddenly spoke up, "You've already cultivated the first 5 bridges of the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique. Can we make a deal? You teach me the first 5 bridges of the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique, and I'll give you what you need." Zhong Wuchen spoke these words because he felt that he couldn't kill Ning Cheng and snatch the 5 bridges from Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng looked at Zhong Wuchen calmly, "Do you think I'm stupid or stupid? What do you have that I need? I've already learned the first 5 bridges of the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique. Even the 6th bridge, my 7 Bridges Realm Book, has absorbed a lot of Dao Charm aura. What else do you have that I need? Do you think that the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique is a cabbage that you can get whenever you want?" Ning Cheng also understood that with the strength Zhong Wuchen showed, it wasn't realistic for him to eat Zhong Wuchen. It was impossible for him to give up the first 5 bridges of the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique to Zhong Wuchen. He couldn't stop Zhong Wuchen, and Zhong Wuchen couldn't stop him either. Zhong Wuchen didn't get angry with Ning Cheng's words and spoke up with a calm voice, "You came to Yin Clan's corner, apart from the 6th bridge, didn't you also come for the Good Fortune Indestructible Axe's Blade Fragment?" "Yes, I came for the Good Fortune Indestructible Axe's Blade Fragment. But can you give it to me? As far as I know, someone else took away the Axe's Blade Fragment, right? You used the Axe's Blade Fragment as bait. Didn't you think that someone could take it away under your nose?" Chapter 1254. Zhong Wuchen didn't care about Ning Cheng's tone. Instead, he raised his hand, and a 1-foot-long axe blade fragment appeared in his palm. The axe blade fragment's Dao charm flowed with the aura of the Grand Dao of Good Fortune. "Take a look at this." This axe blade fragment was more than twice the length of the axe blade fragment that Chen Xiaobing had taken away. Moreover, the Dao charm flowing around it was much more intense, and the Dao charm of Good Fortune cultivation method within it was much clearer. Ning Cheng looked at the axe blade fragment in Zhong Wuchen's hand in shock. "You have another axe blade fragment?" "More than one." Zhong Wuchen raised his hand again, and 4 fragments of the indestructible axe of different sizes floated around him. The only difference was that these 8 indestructible axe fragments weren't in the axe blade's position. Ning Cheng calmed down. "Dao friend Zhong, I believe you should know that these are fragments of the Good Fortune Indestructible Axe, right? If you didn't know that these are fragments of the Good Fortune Indestructible Axe, you wouldn't have collected so many of them. Since you know that these are fragments of a Good Fortune treasure, why did you take them all out to exchange for my 7 Bridges Spirit Technique?" Zhong Wuchen showed a slight smile. "You're right. I do know that these are fragments of the Good Fortune Indestructible Axe. If you think my price is good enough, then let's exchange them now. As for why I want to exchange, I can find any reason, so it's not the most important thing." Ning Cheng took a deep breath and spoke with a calm tone. "I'm sorry. Although I also want these fragments of the indestructible axe, I won't exchange them with the 7 Bridges Realm Book." Zhong Wuchen still spoke with a calm tone. "Who said that I want your 7 Bridges Realm Book? I also know that you won't exchange the Seven Bridges Realm book with me, and I don't need your Seven Bridges Realm book. Ning Qing frowned. If you don't want the Seven Bridges Realm book, how can you learn the first 5 bridges? Because Ning Qing had cultivated the first 5 bridges of the Seven Bridges Spirit Technique, he knew that it was impossible to cultivate the Seven Bridges Spirit Technique without the Seven Bridges Realm book. Zhong Wuchen pointed to the Seven Bridges Realm book suspended above Ning Qing's head and said, I can't take away your Seven Bridges Realm book at this time. You just have to stay here with me for a while and release the Seven Bridges Realm book's restrictions to let my spiritual consciousness comprehend it. Ning Qing finally understood Zhong Wuchen's meaning. Zhong Wuchen's words made sense. As long as he released the Seven Bridges Realm book's restrictions, with Zhong Wuchen's dedication and research on the Seven Bridges Spirit Technique for so many years, he could indeed comprehend the Seven Bridges Spirit Technique. Ning Qing wasn't worried that Wuchen would take away the Seven Bridge Realm book. His sea of consciousness was powerful, and he even had the dark nether-devouring spirit scroll that he had modified. Even if Zhong Wuchen suddenly wanted to snatch his Seven Bridges Realm book, he wouldn't be able to take it away. It was just that he was poisoned. Staying here to accompany Zhong Wuchen to waste time was not an option. He indeed wanted the good fortune indestructible axe's blade fragment and the other fragments. No matter how much he wanted it, he couldn't risk his life. For Cheng, Yang Heaven Qing Cheng's sect long ago, but and he. And of a cultive saint sect, Cheng's long ago. For Chen. Yang of Cheng, and 3 years. 3, at Chen of 3 years. For a starry sky cultivator, 3 years was just a blink of an eye. Ning Qing, who was still hesitating, spoke up after hearing Zhong Wuchen's words. I don't want to trade with you. You can put away your good fortune indestructible axe fragment. Although Zhong Wuchen felt a little anxious before, he was sure that Ning Qing would trade with him. But Ning Qing actually refused, which surprised him. This was a profitable venture, so why wouldn't he be willing? Do you find it strange that I'm willing to trade with you with these good fortune indestructible axe fragments? You should know that these are good fortune treasure fragments, and any one of them is a priceless treasure. Why don't you want to trade? If I didn't care about the Seven Bridges Spirit Technique, I'm sure no one would take out so many good fortune indestructible axe fragments to trade with you for 5 of the Seven Bridges Spirit Technique. Zhong Wuchen spoke with a hurried tone. If others didn't want to trade with him, he could easily kill them. With Ning Qing's strength, if Ning Qing didn't want to trade with him, he could only watch Ning Qing leave. Ning Qing nodded, that's right. You don't even want the fragments of the good fortune indestructible axe, there must be a problem. This is one of the reasons why I don't want to trade. Unless you tell me the real reason why you don't want the fragments of the indestructible axe. Of course, if you want to lie, I can tell. Hearing that Ning Qing had many reasons for not wanting to trade, Zhong Wuchen felt really helpless. This was not like any other business. If this shop didn't want to trade, then he could just find another shop. Ning Qing was the only shop with the Seven Bridges Spirit Technique, there was no other branch. Even if he wanted to find someone who was willing, he would still need to find someone with the Seven Bridges Spirit Technique. Seeing Ning Qing turn around to leave, Zhong Wuchen suddenly spoke up, I can tell you the origin of these 3 chains, and who controls these 3 chains. As for the reason why I don't want the fragments of the good fortune indestructible axe, I can only tell you after I finish cultivating the 5 Bridges Spirit Technique. Ning Qing's heart moved. What he wanted to know the most was the origin of these 3 chains and the Black Altar. If it were any other time, he would have agreed. But now that he was poisoned, he couldn't afford to delay for too long. After hesitating for a while, Ning Qing spoke up, it's not impossible for you to cultivate the 5 Bridges Spirit Technique, but there are 2 conditions. First, I can't stay here. If you want to cultivate the 5 Bridges Spirit Technique, then you have to follow me. Wherever I go, you have to follow me. Zhong Wuchen spoke up helplessly, it's not that I don't want to go with you, but there is a peerless Yin vein here. Moreover, I can't take away this peerless Yin vein. Once I go with you, then it would take twice the effort for me to cultivate. Ning Qing didn't care about it and spoke up, you can always come back to cultivate in the future. No one would snatch this peerless Yin vein from you. The second condition is that you have to tell me the origin of these 3 chains and the black altar. Okay, I agree. Zhong Wuchen hesitated for a moment before gritting his teeth and speaking up. With that, he raised his hand and shot out a forbidden contract talisman. Ning Qing did not hesitate this time and engraved a Dao charm on the forbidden contract talisman. Seeing the forbidden contract talisman disappear, Zhong Wuchen simply threw the 5 fragments of the good fortune indestructible axe to Ning Qing, including the axe blade fragment. After Ning Qing put away the fragments of the good fortune indestructible axe in a jade box, he directly shot out dozens of array flags and placed them over the Black River. The Black River, which originally remained in place, suddenly started to tumble under Ning Qing's array flags. In just half an incense stick worth of time, the Black River, which couldn't be seen at a glance, completely disappeared from Ning Qing's 7 Bridges realm book. Zhong Wuchen's expression turned a little ugly. The Black River was part of the 6th other shore bridge. Who told him to not have the 7 Bridges realm book to take away this Black River? Although he could bring out the Black River after taking control of the 6th other shore bridge, that Black River and this Black River couldn't be mentioned in the same breath. Now that he wanted to comprehend the 5 Bridges spirit technique from Ning Qing, he naturally couldn't say anything to Ning Qing. He could only watch Ning Qing put away the Black River. Ning Qing put away the Black River and smiled at Zhong Wuchen, who had an ugly expression on his face. Dao friend Zhong, you can now tell me the origin of the 3 chains and the altar. The 3 chains were used to collect the fragments of the good fortune indestructible axe. What? Zhong Wuchen had just spoken when Ning Qing interrupted him. Collect the fragments of the good fortune indestructible axe. They were obviously looking for him, all right. Zhong Wuchen seemed to understand Ning Qing's doubts. He suddenly raised his hand and pulled at the void. The 3 chains that Ning Qing had burned off previously appeared in front of Ning Qing. In addition, there was also the black altar. Zhong Wuchen pointed to the black altar and the 3 chains and said, do you know why? Because the original owner of the good fortune indestructible axe was the Pan clan, the owner of the purest ancient giant bloodline. After the fall of the Pan clan in the ancient Good Fortune War, the Good Fortune indestructible axe disintegrated along with its owner. Later, someone wanted to gather all the fragments of the Good Fortune indestructible axe and reform the Good Fortune indestructible axe. But to reform the Good Fortune indestructible axe, only a member of the Pan clan with the purest ancient giant bloodline appeared. I don't know how that person managed to capture the descendant of the Pan clan with the purest ancient giant bloodline and nailed him to the void. Using his blood to attract the good fortune fragments scattered across the vast universe. Ning Qing clenched his fists and felt extremely angry in his heart. He finally understood why Pan Qian ended up nailed to the void. At the same time, that person used a blood pool to absorb his essence blood. It turned out to be a means to reform the Good Fortune indestructible axe and collect the fragments of the Good Fortune indestructible axe. But I don't know what happened. I happened to see 3 broken chains in the void, along with this black altar. It turned out to be an altar. After I took away a few fragments of the Good Fortune fragments, only this altar remained. As Zhong Wuchen spoke until here, he looked at the 3 chains on the ground and shook his head. In my opinion, even if these 3 chains had not been cut off, it would not have been possible to reform the Good Fortune indestructible axe. How powerful was the Pan clan in the past? How pure and noble was their bloodline? Countless years later, even if their bloodline was pure, it would still be very thin. Being able to attract a few fragments of the Good Fortune fragments was already a great joy. I reckon that after many years, the person who used this method also knew that his method would not work, so he simply did not care about it. In the end, I ended up picking up a bargain in the void. Seeing that Ning Qing seemed to have some thoughts in his mind, Zhong Wuchen pointed to the 3 chains and said, don't underestimate these 3 chains. If they had not been cut off by someone, even if your flame had advanced to the sacred flame, I'm afraid that it would not have been able to burn them. At least, it would not have burned them so quickly. Because these 3 chains had been cut off by someone, the Tao charm laws within them started to dissipate, causing them to grow weaker and weaker. Now, these 3 chains, as well as this altar, can be considered as my free gift to you. Thank you. Ning Cheng raised his hand and put away the 3 chains and the altar. Only he knew in his heart that Pan Qian had cut off these 3 chains using the dagger he had given to Pan Qian. He also didn't know why that person had nailed Pan Qian's eyes to the bottom of a lake in a low-level interface. Chapter 1255. That Peerless in Vain. Ning Cheng had just spoken a few words when Zhong Wuchen quickly waved his hand and spoke, "You don't have any use for this thing. The Peerless in Vain might be useful for the first few bridges of the 7 bridges spiritual technique, but it won't be of much use for the later ones. You've already cultivated more than half of the 7 bridges divine art, so you don't need such low-level stuff." Ning Cheng sneered in his heart, was a Peerless in Vain a low-level thing? This Zhong Wuchen really knew how to lie. The reason why this fellow gave him the 3 chains and the black altar was probably because he was afraid that Mo Wuji would covet the Peerless in Pulse. Ning Cheng was just asking about it. In fact, he did not intend to collect the Peerless in Vain in this place. For this in Vain, Zhong Wuchen ruthlessly destroyed the entire in clan. If he wanted this in Vain, Zhong Wuchen would probably fall out with him immediately. "Alright, I'll give this one to you. I want to leave this place, let's go together." As Ning Cheng finished, his figure flashed, and his whole person stepped out. Without Zhong Wuchen messing around, this place really posed no threat to him. Zhong Wuchen on hearing Ning Cheng's words almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This in Vain originally belonged to him, yet Ning Cheng spoke as if it was a gift to him. "We might have to be together for a few years. Can we call each other Dao friends in the future?" Zhong Wuchen followed Ning Cheng out of Yin Clan's corner. In order to learn Ning Cheng's 7 bridges spiritual technique, he felt that he could not put up with more grievances. Ning Cheng lightly replied, "My name is Ning Cheng, you can call me whatever you want." Even if Ning Cheng's cultivation reached a higher level, after entering Yin Clan's corner, the Thousand Thunder Merchant House's shopkeeper would not care about him. Were there any examples of people coming out after entering Yin Clan's corner? I don't think so. At this time, Ning Cheng and Zhong Wuchen had already left the 1,000-meter Void City and passed through another Void City before entering the Void again. "Dao friend Ning, isn't this the Starry Sky Wheel? It's a top-grade flight-type weapon. Dao friend Ning possesses the 7 Bridges Realm Book and the Starry Sky Wheel. You truly are a person with great opportunities." Zhong Wuchen patted the railing on the edge of the Starry Sky Wheel and spoke with admiration. Ning Cheng could see that Zhong Wuchen's face didn't show even the slightest expression of admiration and understood that he wasn't interested in the Starry Sky Wheel. The reason why Ning Cheng exclaimed in admiration was to remind him that he should take out the 7 Bridges Realm Book and let him comprehend the spirit techniques of the previous 5 bridges. "Does fellow Daoist Zhong like my flying magic treasure? If you like it." Not waiting for Ning Cheng to finish, Zhong Wuchen quickly waved his hand and spoke, "I don't like it, I don't like it." He was afraid that Ning Cheng would say that he would give the Starry Sky Wheel to him, and then say that their deal was over. How could Ning Cheng give the Starry Sky Wheel to Zhong Wuchen? This fellow truly thought too much. Ning Cheng showed a smile, "Old Zhong, don't you think my Starry Sky Wheel is not good?" "Why not?" Zhong Wuchen spoke with a tangled voice, "The Starry Sky Wheel is good, but unfortunately, the current Starry Sky Wheel is incomplete and doesn't have an artifact spirit." Ning Cheng couldn't help but praise this old man in his heart. This old man truly had a terrifying vision. Ning Cheng didn't know that the Starry Sky Wheel did not have an artifact spirit, yet Zhong Wuchen could see through it with just a glance. Ning Cheng also didn't know where Mang Yong was right now. If he could find that fellow, he might be able to obtain the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit. No matter how fast Mang Yong's cultivation speed was, he should not reach the primordial chaos realm. Seeing Zhong Wuchen hesitating to speak, Ning Cheng interrupted Zhong Wuchen again. By the way, fellow Taoist Zhong, do you know about the Mirage Sea Crossing Crystal and the stainless water? Zhong Wuchen looked at Ning Cheng in amazement. Are you looking for the divine law's grass that can cure the salvation adversity poison? Ning Cheng looked at Zhong Wuchen in amazement. Fellow Taoist Zhong, do you know that these two things can cure the salvation adversity poison? How come I don't know about it? Zhong Wuchen sighed and said, I know that these two things can cure the salvation adversity poison because I once had a friend who fell victim to the salvation adversity poison. He used these two kinds of divine law's grass to detoxify the poison. As a result, he managed to suppress the salvation adversity poison for a while. But in the end, he couldn't contain the salvation adversity poison and died. These two kinds of divine law's grass can cure the salvation adversity poison. Where did you see them? Ning Cheng couldn't wait to ask. He didn't even think that a sinister fellow like Zhong Wuchen would have friends. Ning Cheng hadn't read about the detoxification method for the salvation adversity poison in the Universe Vegetation book. Later, he deduced the detoxification method through his own Tao. Zhong Wuchen replied calmly, because my friend was an expert in the Tao of alchemy, and he came up with it himself. In addition to these two kinds of divine law's grass, there are also many auxiliary divine grasses. In fact, the pill recipe he came up with couldn't perfectly cure the salvation adversity poison. Otherwise, he wouldn't have died from the poison. Ning Cheng remained silent. The universe was vast, and there were too many powerhouses. The reason why Zhong Wuchen's friend in the Tao of Alchemy died from the poison wasn't because his Tao of Alchemy wasn't as good as his, but because his luck wasn't as good as his. He had the good fortune treasure, the good fortune mysterious yellow bead, to deduce the detoxification method for the salvation adversity poison. Moreover, the other party deduced that the salvation adversity poison required the illusory sea crossing crystal and taintless water. If he hadn't gone to the land of broken laws, mastered the spirit technique of breaking laws, and obtained the bestowing lawless fruit, he probably wouldn't have been able to deduce the bestowing lawless fruit. Previously, Ning Cheng felt confident that he could detoxify the salvation adversity poison as long as he could find these three things and some auxiliary divine grasses. But now, Ning Cheng felt a trace of shadow in his heart. Did the salvation adversity poison have detoxification divine grasses that he couldn't deduce? Seeing Ning Cheng fall silent again, Zhong Wuchen took the initiative to speak up. Actually, I know of a place with the illusory sea crossing crystal. Where? Ning Cheng asked eagerly. Zhong Wuchen also started to hesitate, and his words seemed to be a little hesitant. Ning Cheng wasn't in the mood to play hide-and-seek with Zhong Wuchen. Instead, he directly brought out the Seven Bridges Realm book and opened the Seven Bridges Realm book's spiritual sense restriction. Dao friend Zhong, just tell me where the illusory sea crossing crystal is. You don't have to worry about anything else. I'll hurry over. You're in a tight spot, so you should hurry up and comprehend the first 5 bridges of the Seven Bridges Spirit Technique. The illusory sea crossing crystal is in the depths of the Jiaoliang mountain. You can even see the Jiaoliang Sea after crossing the mountain. The Jiaoliang Sea is a bit broken after the battle between powerhouses, but it's still possible to find the illusory sea crossing crystal inside. After seeing the Seven Bridges Realm book, Zhong Wuchen quickly told Ning Cheng the location of the illusory sea crossing crystal. Then, he stepped under the Seven Bridges Realm book and took out several array discs to protect him. The next moment, his entire body disappeared into the array discs. From this, one could see his eagerness and yearning for the Seven Bridges Spirit Technique. Ning Cheng couldn't help but sigh at Zhong Wuchen's confidence. When Mang Yong told him about crossing the Jiaoliang mountain, he felt as if he was walking on thin ice. The thing he had to consider the most was that he had to be careful. If he wasn't careful, he could fall. Ning Cheng had heard that even Dao perfection experts had to be very careful when crossing the Jiaoliang mountain. Zhong Wuchen just told him that it was possible to find the illusory sea crossing crystal after crossing the Jiaoliang mountain. Then, he directly went to comprehend the seven bridges spirit technique. As for whether he crossed the Jiaoliang mountain or not, it didn't seem to affect Zhong Wuchen at all. 3 months later, Ning Cheng appeared outside the fallen immortal square void market, the closest place to the Jiaoliang mountain. Just like the outside, the fallen immortal square void market had a constant flow of starry sky cultivators. These starry sky cultivators entering and exiting the fallen immortal square void market either carried some void aura or a bloody killing aura. Ning Cheng wasn't in the mood to care about Zhong Wuchen, who was still immersed in his comprehension. He raised his hand and put away the Seven Bridges Realm book. "Old Zhong, we're here. I'm going to the fallen immortal square void market to post a task, and then we'll enter the Jiaoliang mountain." Zhong Wuchen felt very reluctant. At the most critical moment of his comprehension, Ning Cheng suddenly put away the Seven Bridges Realm book. It felt as if he had eaten a bunch of flies. "Of course, I'll give priority to your matters." Zhong Wuchen put away the fallen immortal square void market with a flattering smile. Ning Cheng put away the starry sky wheel and walked into the fallen immortal square void market. Then, he asked calmly, "Old Zhong, you could have prevented that kid from taking away the axe blade fragment of the good fortune indestructible axe. Why did you give it up? That thing might not be valuable to you, but you shouldn't waste it like that, right?" The more Ning Cheng thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. He felt that even if Zhong Wuchen wanted to deal with him, Zhen Xiaobing wouldn't be able to take away that axe blade fragment. Zhong Wuchen's face turned a little black. In fact, he really couldn't stop it. However, he had already placed a spiritual sense mark on that axe blade fragment. It would be impossible for a puny Dao transformation holy emperor to find his spiritual sense mark. Once he finished comprehending the Seven Bridges spirit technique from Ning Cheng, he would have to spit it out. Of course, Ning Cheng didn't eat it. Ning Cheng was too strong and mysterious. Zhong Wuchen couldn't deal with him right now. The Dao charm of that purple cloud was very strange. "I was dealing with you at the time, so I really didn't have the energy to stop it," Zhong Wuchen replied. As for the spiritual sense mark, he didn't say anything. Ning Cheng had also taken 5 of his good fortune fragments. He couldn't let Ning Cheng think that his good fortune fragments also had a spiritual sense mark. Zhong Wuchen spoke honestly, but Ning Cheng guessed that Zhong Wuchen wasn't that honest. He was just about to speak when he suddenly sensed the aura of Mang Yong's communication pearl. Ning Cheng deliberately took out the communication pearl and released the news of his arrival. Sure enough, after a while, Mang Yong rushed out of the fallen immortal square void market and greeted Ning Cheng from afar. "Daoist Ning, it's really you. That's great, that's great." Mang Yong had indeed advanced to the primordial Dao realm, and his early-stage primordial Dao runes were very condensed. After Ning Cheng reached primordial Dao realm, his great Dao and heaven-earth law had merged. People weaker than him couldn't see his cultivation level. Even though Mang Yong had advanced to a primordial Dao divine emperor, he couldn't see Ning Cheng's true strength. "Daoist Ning, you really don't care about who your friends are. This kid is just a primordial Dao." Zhong Wuchen shook his head when he saw Mang Yong. Ning Cheng smiled slightly. "That's natural. Just like you, have you succeeded in creating a realm? Even if you haven't, you're not far off, right? I'm just an early-stage primordial Dao realm cultivator. Why don't you follow me around?" Chapter 1256. In front of Ning Cheng, Zhong Wuchen did not dare to show even the slightest dissatisfaction. No matter what Ning Cheng said, he had to pinch his nose and accept it. "Brother Ning, your cultivation has made great progress." Mang Yong found that he couldn't see through Ning Cheng's strength. However, he didn't think that Ning Cheng had reached Dao confirming Dao fusion. In his opinion, Ning Cheng was most likely still a Dao transformation cultivator, but he had an extremely powerful concealment cultivation method. Concealing his cultivation level was obviously so that others could not see through his confidence. Of course, it was also possible that Ning Cheng had advanced to the Dao essence realm and then hid his cultivation. From fellow Daoist Ning to brother Ning, Mang Yong's words did not seem abrupt at all. "You're not bad either, your cultivation has also made great progress." Ning Cheng chuckled. Mang Yong also laughed, "After my cultivation improved a little, I've been waiting here for you. I've made a few friends recently, and I'm planning to visit Mount Jiaoliang." Saying that, Mang Yong's gaze fell on Zhong Wuchen beside Ning Cheng. "Brother Ning, who is this?" Zhong Wuchen's strength was too strong. Mang Yong couldn't see through it at all. Ning Cheng patted Mang Yong's shoulder and spoke, "Brother Mang, you don't have to worry about this person. We can talk about our own matters." Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Mang Yong immediately understood in his heart that he was just a follower. "Brother Ning, I have reserved a private room in front of the Void Rest Stop. Let's go in and talk in detail." Sure enough, Mang Yong didn't pay any more attention to Zhong Wuchen as he pointed to a tall rest stop not far away. "I have no problem with it. Brother Mang, please lead the way." Ning Cheng spoke with a smile while reaching out his hand. Mang Yong was in a hurry to find him, but he also wanted to ask Mang Yong about the location of the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit. The Void Inn was indeed the largest inn in the Void City of the Fallen Immortal Boat. This place had the best private rooms, the best service, and the best divine spirit tea and wine. Following Mang Yong into the Void Rest Stop, Ning Cheng understood that Mang Yong had not been here for a day or two. Otherwise, it would be difficult to find an empty seat in the hall, let alone a private room. Mang Yong's private room wasn't small, and there was already a man and a woman inside. The man was at the mid-stage primordial Dao realm, while the woman was at the early-stage primordial Dao realm. The man was of medium build and looked rather ordinary. His skin was dark and his Dao runes were restrained. It was obvious that he was not weak. The woman's face was cold and incomparably delicate. Her slightly round oval face made her cold and aloof look a little gentler. Ning Cheng always felt that this woman's cultivation was at the early-stage Dao essence realm, but she was even more terrifying. When the two of them saw Mang Yong bring people in, they didn't stand up. Mang Yong quickly spoke up, "Brother Ning, these two are our like-minded friends, Duan Guanyu and Shen Xiuying. Brother Duan, senior apprentice sister Shen, this is the fellow Daoist Ning I've been telling you about." The two of them still did not stand up and just cupped their hands towards Ning Cheng from their seats. As for Zhong Wuchen, he was directly ignored by everyone. Zhong Wuchen did not care. Even if they did not ignore him, he was not interested in getting to know a few primordial Dao weaklings. Ning Cheng also casually cupped his hands before sitting down. Zhong Wuchen was very self-aware. He simply sat on the seat next to him, closed his eyes, and thought about the insights he gained from the first bridge of coping. He followed Ning Cheng with only one purpose, that is to comprehend the 7 bridges spiritual technique. Everything else was like floating clouds to him. After Mang Yong sat down, he poured a cup of divine tea for Ning Cheng and said, "Brother Duan, senior apprentice sister Shen, plus brother Ning and me, we have a total of 4 people. I think we should be able to cross the Jiaoliang mountain." Shen Xiuying suddenly looked at Ning Cheng and said in a cold voice, "I don't care about adding one more person, but I want to know if that person is qualified to cross the Jiaoliang mountain with me." Mang Yong frowned slightly, "Everyone is a friend, and I'm the one who brought us together. Everyone has their own use. I understand everyone's strength. Moreover, if we cross the Jiaoliang mountain this time, those without the ability would naturally fall. I believe that since everyone is willing to join, they should have a certain amount of confidence in their own strength." "You can't say that. A strong teammate can make us a lot safer." Duan Guanyu suddenly spoke up, clearly supporting Shen Xiuying. Although Duan Guanyu spoke with the same expressionless face as Shen Xiuying's words had a woman's coldness to them. Moreover, Duan Guanyu's words had nothing to do with his name. I don't have to go with you. Brother Mang just needs to tell me where the things I need are. Ning Qing spoke up in a calm voice, not caring about Shen Xiuying and Duan Guanyu's words. Mang Yong quickly spoke up to Ning Qing, Brother Ning, rest assured. If it's yours, it will definitely be yours. With that, Mang Yong looked at Duan Guanyu and Shen Xiuying and spoke up in a cold tone, if the two Dao friends look down on me, Mang Yong, then please leave. If you look up to me, Mang Yong, then let's all work together. Ning Qing looked at Mang Yong with some surprise. Mang Yong was the weakest among them, and even spoke politely before. He thought that Mang Yong had the lowest status among the three. But now it seems that Mang Yong was not the lowest, but the highest. Sure enough, after Mang Yong finished his sentence, Duan Guanyu and Shen Xiuying did not speak anymore. Mang Yong softened his tone, I understand Brother Duan and Senior Apprentice Sister Shen's concerns, but what I said before. At this point, Mang Yong subconsciously stopped and looked at Ning Qing. Ning Qing understood Mang Yong's meaning and waved his hand with a smile, Brother Mang, you can speak freely. You don't have to care about this follower of mine. He is the kind of person who listens to one ear and comes out with the other. Mang Yong nodded and continued, the third step of Tao confirming is the highest goal that every cultivator pursues. Moreover, the Jiaoliang mountain hides the secret of the third step. It's not that I, Mang Yong, want to brag, but only a few people know about it. Even if they know about it, it's not as detailed as what I know. Many people know about it and want to cross the Jiaoliang mountain. However, the result is only one path, death. Since I asked everyone to form a team, it means that I have my own purpose. If we can't work together, then we might as well not go there. Hearing about the third step of Tao confirming, even Zhong Wuchen looked up at Mang Yong. Shen Xiuying was the most straightforward. After Mang Yong finished speaking, she stood up, in that case, let's not hesitate anymore. Let's go now. Mang Yong nodded, Senior Apprentice Sister Shen is right. I still have to explain why I invited Brother Ning. Brother Ning has a top-grade flight-type weapon that can cross the Jiaoliang mountain. Without Brother Ning, it would be more dangerous for us to cross the Jiaoliang mountain. After that, Mang Yong turned to Ning Qing and said, Brother Ning, the reason why I invited Brother Duan is that Brother Duan is a top-grade array Dao expert. Senior Apprentice Sister Shen. This time, without waiting for Mang Yong to finish, Shen Xiuying stood up and raised her hand to stop him, Senior Apprentice Brother Mang, it's fine as long as you know that I'm of some use. There's no need to go into such detail. Mang Yong frowned but did not continue speaking. Ning Qing showed a faint smile, since we're forming a team, then we need to say what we're good at, so that we each have our own details. Otherwise, I might as well cross the Jiaoliang mountain alone. Shen Xiuying spoke up in a cold voice, in that case, I'll tell you myself. I'm a cultivator with no spiritual root. After crossing the Jiaoliang mountain, only I can find a place with complete laws. At the same time, I can also find the strongest and weakest law fluctuations. No attributes. Ning Qing sucked in a breath of cold air. If Esau's Tao companion, Shu Rui, had no meridians, then it would be hard to find one in a trillion. However, a cultivator with no spiritual root was hard to find even one in a trillion. Moreover, such a cultivator could not grow up at all. Even if such a cultivator grew up, he or she would always be the target of people's attention. Because cultivators with no attributes could purify all kinds of starry sky spiritual roots, it was similar to the spiritual grafting of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond. However, a cultivator with no spiritual root was tens of thousands of times stronger than a spiritual grafting. Such a woman with no spiritual root could completely purify any male cultivator's spiritual root. One could purify one's own things, while the other could graft someone else's things. The advantages and disadvantages could be easily seen. This was only useful in helping others with their spiritual roots. Once a cultivator with no spiritual roots succeeded in cultivating it, their strength would crush those in the same realm. Even skipping levels to fight would be a trivial matter. Zhong Wuchen, who stood on the side, once again showed a surprised look. He didn't expect to see a cultivator with no spiritual root here. However, this kind of cultivator with no spiritual root basically didn't have much use for him right now. His strength had already grown so strong that it wasn't just a matter of spiritual roots, but also his own perception of the heaven and earth Tao. Ning Qing thought to himself, this woman, Shen Xiuying, is quite confident. She even exposed that she has no spiritual root. Since this woman could survive until now, she shouldn't be a simple person. Thinking about it, Xu Rui had Yi Sa behind her, and she was also an early-stage primordial chaos cultivator. Under such circumstances, she had also been taken away. Since she had no spiritual root, Ning Qing also guessed that Shen Xiuying could fight people in a higher realm. Apart from him and Zhong Wuchen, Shen Xiuying was probably the strongest among the few people here. Even Duan Guanyu, who was at the middle stage primordial Tao realm, might not be Shen Xiuying's opponent. Thinking about Mang Yong's strength, Ning Qing understood that although Duan Guanyu's cultivation was the highest among the three of them, but in this place, his strength might be the weakest. Brother Ning, what do you think? Mang Yong felt very satisfied when he saw Ning Qing's surprised face. When he had first learned that Shen Xiuying had no spiritual root, he had also been as surprised as Ning Qing. He even wanted to take this woman down and ask her to help purify his spiritual root. Ning Qing nodded. I have no objections. Good. He clapped his hands in satisfaction. Since no one has any objections, I think we should leave now to avoid all kinds of situations in the future. Wait a little longer. After saying that, Ning Qing took out a jade slip and threw it to Zhong Wuchen. Go to the Void City's mission posting place and help me post this mission. Ning Qing had given Zhong Wuchen a mission to find the illusory sea crystal and the pure water. Ning Qing had even posted such missions in the unknown small Void City. The immortal falling boat's Void City was close to the Jiaoliang mountain, so the probability of these two treasures appearing was very high. How could Ning Qing not post the news? Chapter 1257. Seeing Zhong Wuchen obediently take the jade slip and leave, Shen Xiuying suddenly frowned and said, this person is also coming with us. Mang Yong did not speak this time and instead looked at Ning Qing. Ning Qing showed a slight smile. Don't look at my follower's vague Tao charm. It looks like he's only at the early stage Tao essence realm. In fact, he's very strong. The reason why the Tao runes are blurry is because he is comprehending a new divine ability. Once he learns it, his strength will probably far surpass mine. Ning Qing's words were not an exaggeration. He had a hunch in his heart that Zhong Wuchen was so obsessed with comprehending the Seven Bridges spirit technique. Perhaps it was not just because he liked this spirit technique. Zhong Wuchen might have borrowed the Seven Bridges sacred art to construct his own world. Once Zhong Wuchen learned the Seven Bridges divine art, it might be time for him to reach the third step of Tao validation. Although Ning Qing did not know how powerful Zhong Wuchen was after reaching the third step of Tao validation, he felt that he was much stronger than Feng Huangmei from heavens beyond. Shen Xiuying stared into Ning Qing's eyes. Tao friend Ning, the last time Tao friend Mang Yong saw you, you were a late-stage Tao transformation cultivator. Taoist Mang said that you are very strong, so I believe that you should be able to prove your Tao essence. But this time, we're forming a team to traverse the Jiaoliang mountain alone. You're the only one with a helper who's about the same cultivation level as us. Isn't this a little inappropriate? Shen Xiuying's words had not yet finished, when Mang Yong saw Ning Qing frowning, he quickly tried to smooth things over and spoke, Elder brother Ning, senior apprentice sister Shen means that if your friend does not want to go with us, then let him stay here. Duan Guanyu nodded as well. Junior sister Shen is right. Since everyone is teaming up to traverse the Jiaoliang Void Mountain, we should follow the rules. Ning Qing understood the meaning behind these people's words. It was clear that they did not trust him. Once everyone quarreled over a certain treasure, he had two people on his side, so he clearly had the upper hand. It was obviously unrealistic to let Zhong Wuchen stay in the void city of the fallen ferry boat. It would be fine if Zhong Wuchen was really his follower, but the key was that Zhong Wuchen was not his follower. Seeing the few people looking at him, Ning Qing suddenly spoke up. The reason why I joined this group is because I have a top-grade flight-type magical weapon. Brother Mang, when we return, do you still want to use my flying magic treasure? Mang Yong replied, there is no need for that. However, I have an agreement with Brother Ning. Naturally, I will accompany Brother Ning on this trip. Ning Qing showed a faint smile. Many thanks, Brother Mang. As for accompanying me, let's forget about it. How about this, after we pass through Mount Jiaoliang, we'll go our separate ways. I'll bring my follower with me and won't go with the three of you. We have other things to do and must bring this follower with us. Is that all right? Mang Yong looked at Ning Qing in doubt and asked, if that's the case, then wouldn't Brother Ning suffer a big loss? Ning Qing chuckled and spoke, it's good to eat a bit of a loss, it's much better than others always thinking about me and taking advantage of me. Seeing Duan Guanyu and Shen Xiuying not speaking, Mang Yong hesitated for a while, before suddenly speaking up, in that case, then I will have to trouble Brother Ning. When we part ways, I will definitely hand over the things that Brother Ning needs to Brother Ning. If Brother Ning does not feel at ease, then I can establish a contract with you. Ning Qing waved his hand, no, I believe in Brother Mang. Brother Mang will definitely give it to me when the time comes. I'm not worried about that. Okay, Brother Ning, I'll make friends with you. Mang Yong spoke up. He felt regretful that he could not accompany Ning Qing to find the Starry Sky Wheel's artifact spirit. In fact, he really cared about Ning Qing's Starry Sky Wheel. If this Starry Sky will belong to him, then he would at least be twice as safe walking through the vast void. With Ning Qing's words, even Duan Guanyu and Shen Xiuying did not have anything to nitpick about. Just as the scene turned awkward, Zhong Wuchen returned. What puzzled Ning Qing was that there was another person behind Zhong Wuchen. This person looked like a Dao transformation realm cultivator, but the Dao charm around his body was powerful and gave off a bloody murderous aura. His long yellow hair draped over his shoulders, making him look extremely free and at ease. Old Zhong, who is this? Ning Qing looked at this Dao transformation holy emperor and asked in doubt. Zhong Wuchen smiled. I had just issued the task in the quest hall when this fellow said that he knew the specific location of the illusory sea crossing crystal. Although I know where the illusory sea crossing crystal is, I don't have the specific location. The place I mentioned might not be found even after many years. Since this person knows the specific location, I brought him back. But this person has been possessed before, and it wasn't just once. Be careful when you ask. Don't get tricked by him. Hearing Zhong Wuchen's words, the yellow-haired man was slightly shocked. He looked at Zhong Wuchen in surprise. This fellow could tell that he had been possessed before. One had to know that many primordial chaos holy emperors and even Dao integration powerhouses might not be able to see this. Ning Qing's gaze fell on this long-haired man. To be honest, he felt that this Dao transformation holy emperor was a bit strange. As for whether this was a possession or not, he wasn't sure. The long-haired man saw Ning Qing's gaze fall on him and didn't dare to neglect. He quickly stepped forward and said with cupped fists, this junior is Peng Yu. I've been wandering in the void, so I know. Ning Qing raised his hand to stop Peng Yu and said to Mang Yong and the other two, since everyone is fine, I suggest we leave now. I agree. Shen Xiuying was the first to respond to Ning Qing. The reason she stayed on the fallen immortal boat was to cross Jiaoliang Mountain. Just like Ning Qing, she also had her own things to do. Crossing Jiaoliang Mountain was not only to find the Tao charm laws of ancient powerhouses, but also to find a cultivation method that belonged to her. People without spiritual roots could cultivate several times faster than others, or even dozens of times faster. At the same time, the resources they needed were far more than others. These resources included cultivation methods. After the 6 people left the fallen immortal market square and Ning Qing brought out the starry sky wheel, Shen Xiuying and Duan Guanyu understood why Mang Yong invited Ning Qing to join them. Not to mention that the speed of the starry sky wheel would reduce countless dangers for them, it would also save them a lot of time. If they knew that Ning Qing had such a flight-type weapon, they would never have objected. Duan Guanyu vaguely glanced at Zhong Wuchen, who had activated the restrictions the moment he stepped onto the starry sky wheel. It seemed like he was trying to understand some kind of cultivation method within an array formation. In the end, he forcibly suppressed the terrifying idea of wanting the starry sky wheel. He knew Mang Yong's shrewdness and means. If the starry sky wheel was so easy to obtain, Mang Yong would not have invited Ning Qing and would have directly obtained the starry sky wheel. Don't look at Mang Yong's polite and gentlemanly appearance. The starry sky wheel was spacious, and with Ning Qing controlling the starry sky wheel, everyone arranged temporary cultivation rooms on the deck without disturbing each other. Ning Qing called Peng Yu in front of him. You said that you know where the illusory sea crossing crystal is? Peng Yu replied respectfully, replying to Senior, yes. I have an impression of the Jiaoliang Sea. Only the Jiaoliang Sea has the illusory sea crossing crystal. But the Jiaoliang Sea is boundless. With Senior's heaven-defying means, it would take hundreds of years to search through the entire Jiaoliang Sea. If this junior leads the way, finding the illusory sea crossing crystal would be a piece of cake. Ning Qing cursed in his heart. This Zhong Wuchen was truly unreliable. This fellow only said that the Jiaoliang Sea had the illusory sea crossing crystal, but he didn't say how difficult it was to find it. In any case, this fellow followed behind him. As long as he had the 7 Bridges Realm book to comprehend it, this fellow probably didn't care about finding the illusory sea crossing crystal. As for finding Peng Yu, maybe he was afraid that Ning Qing would drag him to find the illusory sea crossing crystal and waste his time. Therefore, Ning Qing decided to find someone to help him find the illusory sea crossing crystal. If Peng Yu really knew the location of the illusory sea crossing crystal, it wouldn't be a bad idea. However, Ning Qing was afraid that this Zhong Wuchen would just brush it off. Thinking of this, Ning Qing's face sank. Peng Yu, are you talking nonsense? How steep and dangerous is the Jiaoliang Mountain? With your cultivation, how could you cross the Jiaoliang Mountain? Peng Yu spoke up calmly. That Senior Zhong also pointed out that this junior had possessed a body before. This junior had indeed been possessed, and it wasn't just once. Because of this junior knew a bit about the situation in the Jiaoliang Mountain. Tell me honestly about this matter. If there's even half a word of deviation, don't blame me for being impolite. Ning Qing spoke with a cold tone. This junior doesn't dare. Peng Yu quickly spoke up. This junior cultivated in a relatively ordinary immortal world positional plane. This junior's aptitude and perception of the Tao were also quite good. After countless years of hard cultivation and wandering between life and death, this junior finally succeeded in sculpting his Tao. Unfortunately, the positional plane where this junior came from was too low. Although this junior succeeded in sculpting his Tao, he couldn't find the proper method and ended up with a lot of sequelae. Go on, what happened next? Ning Qing nodded. He believed what Peng Yu said. Sculpting one's Tao in the starry sky of a low-level positional plane, even if one obtained the proper method, the laws wouldn't be suitable. Sculpting one's Tao using the laws of a low-level positional plane would cause one's Tao to deform. It could even restrict one's future development, or even directly disintegrate. Later, this junior decided to make a brave decision. Taking advantage of a serious injury in a battle, I condensed my Tao into a seed. Then, this seed absorbed the Tao charm of heaven and earth and started to ferment my own Tao. Peng Yu's words made Ning Qing sigh. This fellow was truly ruthless. Condensing a seed, once detected, would result in the complete destruction of one's spiritual soul, without even a chance for reincarnation. Fortunately for this junior, after this junior's seed was thrown into the void, it finally perfected its own Tao. At that time, someone obtained this junior's Tao seed, and this junior took the opportunity to possess it. Ning Qing could only sympathize with the fellow who Peng Yu possessed. Cultivating in the starry sky, anything could happen. Go on. That was the first time you tried to possess someone. What about the second time? Ning Qing motioned for Peng Yu to continue explaining about the possession. Peng Yu, on seeing Ning Qing's expression soften, spoke up with even more calmness. The second time, when this junior was training in the void, I met a remnant soul. This remnant soul came from the opposite side of Jiaoliang Mountain and wanted to possess this junior. Because this junior cared a lot about possession, this junior had already condensed an essence spirit for many years. Although this remnant soul was powerful, it was broken. In the end, this junior devoured the remnant soul's essence spirit consciousness. Chapter 1258. Ning Qing understood and asked, this broken essence spirit came from the other side of Jiaoliang Mountain, so it retained some of its memories? This Peng Yu really had good luck. After condensing the Tao seed, he could find a suitable person to possess. The second time, he ended up being possessed by someone else. However, whether he possessed someone else or someone else possessed him, he always emerged as the winner. Senior, this remnant soul came from the other side of Jiaoliang Mountain. This junior also absorbed part of the remnant soul's memories, which allowed me to know that there are too many planes in the vast universe. This junior went through a lot of hardships to reach the periphery of Jiaoliang Mountain through heavens beyond. Peng Yu's tone turned even more respectful. Ning Qing, on the other hand, felt a bit more relieved. So you want me to take you through the Jiaoliang mountain range? Peng Yu quickly replied, yes, this junior just wants to help senior find the illusory sea crossing crystal and then leave alone. Okay, I agree to your request. Ning Qing agreed to Peng Yu's request without hesitation. Since Peng Yu had absorbed the remnant soul's memories, he must know a lot of places with hidden treasures. Ning Qing did not intend to ask about these things. The most important thing for him right now was not to search for treasures, but to seize the time to detoxify. The starry sky will enter Jiaoliang Mountain at a speed so fast that it tore through the void. Many cultivators searching for cultivation resources in Jiaoliang Mountain had just felt the starry sky wheel when it crossed through the void and disappeared without a trace. Jiaoliang Mountain was an extremely dangerous place with too many spatial cracks, traps, and powerful demonic beasts. But with the starry sky wheel under Ning Chang's control, it didn't pose a problem at all. The spatial cracks did not affect the starry sky wheel, and the starry sky wheel had already crossed through it. As for the various demonic beasts, they had just discovered the starry sky wheel when it disappeared without a trace. Mang Yong felt very satisfied. Ning Cheng had found a good helper. At the same time, he felt regretful that the starry sky wheel was not his. Once he told Ning Cheng about the location of the starry sky wheel's artifact spirit, he probably would never have a chance to obtain the starry sky wheel. As long as they did not encounter any spatial dislocations, they would not have any problems traveling. Once they encountered a spatial dislocation, even the starry sky wheel would not have any problems. In the beginning, no matter how fast the starry sky wheel was, they would still encounter all kinds of cultivators searching for cultivation resources in Jiaoliang Mountain. But 3 months later, it was hard to see any more cultivators in Ning City. After walking for another month, he could only see collapsed mountains, cracked rivers, and bottomless abysses. There were broken Taoist ruins and ravines everywhere. Every single place exuded a powerful Tao rune aura, and there were even traces of death and murderous intent. It could be seen that this place was once created by a battle between extremely powerful people. Ning Cheng could also occasionally see some very high-grade divine grasses and some cultivation materials that he wanted. However, this didn't stop him. To him, cultivation resources weren't a problem. The problem was the Saha adversity poison. At this time, Ning Cheng finally realized how big the Jiaoliang mountain was. The starry sky wheel kept flying upwards, but even now, he could not see or touch the top of the Jiaoliang mountain with his spiritual consciousness. Brother Ning, we have to slow down here. In the process of flying over the Jiaoliang mountain, there were invisible vortexes of laws and spatial distortions. Whether it encountered an underground law maelstrom or a spatial dislocation, the starry sky wheel might not be able to resist it. Don't look at us all as Tao essence cultivators. Once we encounter these things, our chances of survival would greatly decrease. Mang Yong came out and sat down not far from Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's gaze fell on the red mark on Mang Yong's forehead and nodded. Brother Mang, you're right. I encountered several spatial cracks and a spatial dislocation before. Next, we'll have to rely on your Tao Eye. Once the spatial crack grew too big, the starry sky wheel would lose its direction if it accidentally entered it. Even if they managed to find the interface where the Jiaoliang mountain was located, it would also waste a lot of time. Brother Ning, rest assured. With the starry sky wheel and my Tao Eye working together, we have a good chance of crossing the Jiaoliang mountain. I didn't expect that we would reach the foot of the Jiaoliang mountain in just 4 months. You said that we've only reached the foot of the Jiaoliang mountain. Ning Cheng suddenly felt a bad feeling in his heart. 4 months, and they had only reached the foot of the Jiaoliang mountain. How long would it take to cross the Jiaoliang mountain? Mang Yong hesitated for a moment before speaking. Actually, you can't say that we've only reached the foot of the Jiaoliang mountain. The path we took before was considered the periphery of the Jiaoliang mountain. You should have felt it. The laws here are several times stronger than the laws outside. If you fight outside, you might be able to stir up some tiny void cracks. Even if you use a powerful spirit power, I'm afraid it would be difficult to create even a tiny void crack here. Ning Cheng felt a sense of powerlessness in his heart. He had always thought that his strength was good. He was not even afraid of ordinary Tao integration sacred emperors. Now, it seemed that his strength was only relative. At this moment, he was like Sun Wukong, while the Jiaoliang mountain was like Buddha's palm. Seeing Ning Cheng remain silent, Mang Yong chuckled and said, "It's difficult for us to cross the Jiaoliang mountain now. I heard that third step experts only need 1 step to cross the Jiaoliang mountain. The Jiaoliang mountain's heaven-earth law level is extremely high, and we can't touch it. But look at the ravines and mountains everywhere. These are the traces left behind by the battles of those experts." Mang Yong wanted to leave some traces in Ning Cheng's Tao heart and let Ning Cheng know how important it was for them to search for the third step Tao validation opportunity. He had not expected that Ning Cheng would suddenly laugh after hearing his words. Brother Mang is right. Our current strength is indeed too weak. Ning Cheng had thought it through. If he had been an ordinary person on Earth, he would have been even more shocked when he saw those experts who could shatter a planet with a single punch. Now, he could shatter a planet with a single punch. Not to mention shattering a planet with a single punch, he could even cross from one planet to another in a low-level plane with a single step. He had not even dared to think about this kind of strength before, but he could do it now. Today, he might have to spend a lot of effort to cross the Jiaoliang mountain, but one day in the future, he would be able to cross the Jiaoliang mountain with a single step. He could even condense a hand seal and grab the Jiaoliang mountain. Just like what he had said to one day in the future, when he faced the guy who had made a hand seal in the depths of the void, he would punch him back. As for Mang Yong's words about stepping into the third step of Tao confirming, he would definitely be able to cross the Jiaoliang mountain with a single step. Ning Cheng still had some doubts in his heart. That Feng Huangmei, whom he had met in the mysterious yellow heavens beyond, should be at the third step of Tao confirming, right? That Feng Huangmei was at best a bit stronger than him. Ning Cheng would never believe that he could cross the Jiaoyang mountain with a single step. There is an underground law whirlpool in front of us. Quickly move to the east by 1,000 feet. Mang Yong, who was about to speak, suddenly called out anxiously. Ning Cheng also felt that something was wrong with the laws in front of him. Therefore, when Mang Yong spoke, he did not hesitate to control the starry sky wheel to move to the east by 1,000 feet. The starry sky wheel, like a bolt of lightning, swept past the underground law whirlpool. Ning Cheng could clearly see a bottomless abyss. The endless laws of heaven and earth formed a law whirlpool that was almost visible to the naked eye. Ning Cheng was sure that once the starry sky wheel flew over the law whirlpool, it would most likely get sucked into the law whirlpool. Mang Yong's Daoai truly was a good thing. Just as Ning Cheng was muttering to himself, he saw rows of red Dao fruits at the edge of the law whirlpool. Are these the extreme darkness Dao fruits? Ning Cheng asked in shock. The extreme darkness Dao fruits were priceless, yet there were rows of them here. Mang Yong chuckled, but a flash of desire flashed across his eyes. It's not a big deal to see the heaven-raising Dao fruit here. Even if you see the heaven-raising Dao fruit, it's still normal. The laws of the underground whirlpool in this place are extremely powerful. Even if a Dao perfection powerhouse came here, it would be difficult to escape unscathed. Fortunately, what we saw just now was a bright whirlpool. There are also some dark whirlpools that can't be seen with the naked eye. Even if Mang Yong didn't explain, Ning Cheng could feel the terror of the law whirlpool. With his strength, he most likely couldn't pick the extreme darkness Dao fruit from the side of the law whirlpool. As the starry sky wheel rushed upwards, Ning Cheng saw a variety of top-grade divine grasses and Dao fruits. Each of the divine grasses was extremely rare, and even the great merchant house rarely saw them. Unfortunately, he could only look at these top-grade spiritual grasses and Dao fruits. Maybe one day, when his strength improved, he could come here to collect all kinds of divine grasses. If that day came, these divine grasses might not be much different from weeds in his eyes. Ning Cheng sighed and sped up the starry sky wheel again. As Ning Cheng sped up the starry sky wheel, Mang Yong could only do his best to observe the road for Ning Cheng. His Daoai also seemed to struggle under such a heavy workload. Just when Mang Yong wanted Ning Cheng to slow down again, a heaven-devouring and earth-shattering roar resounded. It felt as if the sky had collapsed from the top of the starry sky wheel. This kind of collapse felt similar to climbing a mountain on earth, when an avalanche suddenly appeared above one's head. Ning Cheng's starry sky wheel paused and subconsciously slowed down. What's going on? Ning Cheng felt strange because his spiritual consciousness didn't detect any collapse. Mang Yong also felt a little puzzled. But after a while, his face suddenly turned pale, and he anxiously called out, "Brother Ning, hurry up and escape from this place. This is the collapse of the laws of heaven and earth. It's the condensation of the laws of heaven and earth left behind by ancient powerhouses. These laws of heaven and earth also contain various spirit techniques. Once they condense to a certain extent, they will collapse. Everything that remains in front of this collapsing law will turn into nothingness." Ning Cheng felt surprised. Wasn't this referring to his time wheel? As the time wheel swept past, it turned into nothingness. Chapter 1259. Run, Ning Cheng immediately reacted. The starry sky wheel immediately tore through space and moved away. At the same time, everyone on the deck of the starry sky wheel was alarmed. Even Zhong Wuchen, who was comprehending the seven bridges spirit technique within the restrictions, was shocked. When everyone felt the terrifying laws collapsing, their faces turned pale. At this moment, Ning Cheng didn't need to take the initiative. Everyone stimulated their spirit essence to attack the collapsing laws of heaven and earth. Boom boom boom. The violent Dao charm aura exploded, and all kinds of laws collapsed. The spirit essence Tao charm shook the surrounding space. Even though everyone, including Zhong Wuchen, had attacked with all their might, the monstrous aura, which was like a river of stars, still sent them flying. If not for Ning Cheng's starry sky wheel's restrictions being too strong, the weaker Duan Guanyu and Peng Yu would have already been blasted out of the starry sky wheel. The collapsing laws of heaven and earth blew away all of them, and the violent aura caused the starry sky wheel to spin like a top, spinning rapidly in the void. Fortunately, Ning Cheng forcibly shifted the starry sky wheel to the edge of the collapsing laws. The starry sky wheel spun rapidly, brushing past the edge of the collapsing laws. After a while, Ning Cheng finally controlled the rapidly rotating starry sky wheel. The few people blocked by the starry sky wheel's restrictions also recovered and looked at the collapsing laws of heaven and earth in horror. At this moment, nothing could exist in front of the collapsing laws of heaven and earth. Everything turned into nothingness under the collapsing laws. Amazing, this kind of collapsing laws is rarely seen in the Jialiang mountain. It doesn't happen again in hundreds of years. We're really lucky to encounter this kind of collapsing laws. Mang Yong spoke with lingering fear. Peng Yu, who stood on the side, also spoke up with fear. I heard that this collapsing laws of heaven and earth is due to the residual charm of spirit techniques left behind after a battle between powerhouses. These spirit techniques accumulate over time and can even condense into new spirit techniques. This kind of spirit technique can easily cause the laws to collapse when it encounters some external laws. Shen Xiuying was silent. She glanced at Zhong Wuchen vaguely and quickly lowered her head. She had a hunch that Zhong Wuchen was the strongest when they fought just now. Not only was he the strongest, but he could even defeat her easily. After setting foot on Ning Cheng's starry sky wheel, she had always thought that she was the strongest. But now, it didn't seem like the case at all. If Ning Cheng's roots were this strong, then how could Ning Cheng be weak? However, Mang Yong said that the last time he saw Ning Cheng was only at the Tao transformation realm. No matter how powerful a genius was in the starry sky, it was impossible for them to reach the late-stage primordial Tao in just a few years, right? Even if he could reach the mid-stage primordial Tao, he would be considered a genius among geniuses. Unless, Shen Xiuying quickly put aside her thoughts. Even if Ning Cheng had a time array disk, he would not be able to cultivate so quickly. As long as a cultivator reached the Tao sculpting realm, cultivation would not only depend on time accumulation. More importantly, one needed to comprehend the great Tao of heaven and earth. If comprehending the great Tao of heaven and earth only required time, then everyone would be able to comprehend their own great Tao. It was just a matter of time. In fact, there were only a few experts who could truly stand at the peak of starry sky. Zhong Wuchen didn't care about it. He just clapped his hands and didn't say a word before returning to his array formation restrictions to continue comprehending the first bridge of coping. After more than half a year of comprehension, he had basically mastered the first bridge of coping. As long as he had another month, he could start comprehending the second bridge of viewing village. After experiencing the collapse of the laws of heaven and earth, no one wanted to say anything. Instead, they entered their own restrictions and began to cultivate in seclusion. Ning Cheng still controlled the starry sky wheel while feeling the cutting adversity poison under his control. As for the collapsing laws of heaven and earth, he had already put it aside. He had only been poisoned for a little more than a year, but he felt that something was wrong. The flow of Tao charm had become a little sluggish, and even the spirit essence didn't seem as smooth as before. Although this feeling was subtle, it still made Ning Cheng's heart feel a little gloomy. This was a sign that the cutting adversity poison could no longer be suppressed. If he couldn't suppress the cutting adversity poison, what would the consequences be? Not to mention that he still had a ticking time bomb like Zhong Wuchen with him. Even Mang Yong, Shen Xiuying, Duan Guanyu, and even that Tao transformation Holy Emperor Peng Yu, none of them were easy to deal with. The starry sky wheel's speed kept increasing. Although Mang Yong's Tao I felt strained, he couldn't persuade Ning Cheng. During the collapse of the laws, if Ning Cheng hadn't turned the tide and controlled the starry sky wheel to escape to the edge of the collapsing laws in time. With just the few of them working together, they wouldn't have been able to stop the collapsing laws. Even if the last few of them didn't die, they would have lost the opportunity to cross the Jiaoliang mountain. Fortunately, although they encountered all kinds of dangers along the way, the starry sky wheel managed to avoid them all. Another year passed by, and just when Mang Yong felt that his Dao was about to collapse, his spiritual consciousness turned empty. A vast void domain appeared around him, and Mang Yong stood up in excitement. We should have reached the top of the Jiaoliang mountain. Ning Cheng also sighed. Over the past year, he felt that he couldn't suppress the poison any longer. The circulation of spirit essence and Dao charm had become even more sluggish. Fortunately, they finally reached the top of the Jiaoliang mountain. The starry sky wheel didn't stop at the top of the Jiaoliang mountain and continued rushing forward. Brother Ning, should we stop and take a break? Shen Xiuying took the initiative to come to Ning Cheng for the first time and asked for his opinion. At this time, even Mang Yong and Duan Guanyu looked at Ning Cheng with some expectation. They didn't want to enjoy the scenery here, but the danger at the top of the Jiaoliang mountain was much smaller. There were all kinds of treasures at the top of the Jiaoliang mountain. At the same time, the laws of heaven and earth here were far more powerful than those at the foot of the Jiaoliang mountain. You can stand on the deck of the starry sky wheel and look at the top of the Jiaoliang mountain, but I can't stop. We need to cross the Jiaoliang mountain as fast as we can. If we stop and something happens, the gains won't make up for the losses. Ning Cheng refused without hesitation. He also wanted to stop here and have a look, but Ning Cheng knew that he didn't have the time to stop here. The top of the Jiaoliang mountain seemed to be a little different from the other peaks. This mountain didn't have a steep peak, but a platform that looked like it had been carved out by a knife. Carved out by a knife? Ning Cheng's heart moved as he thought of this. Did someone really use a knife to carve it out? If that was the case, then that person was just too terrifying. The top of the Jiaoliang mountain looks like an endless sea. Except for some subtle waves, it looks like it was carved out by a knife. Duan Guanyu spoke up in amazement. Peng Yu, who had the weakest cultivation, spoke up from the side. I heard that a powerhouse used a weapon to flatten this place, but it might not have been a knife. Ning Cheng suddenly remembered Mount Buzhou. There was a legend on earth that Mount Buzhou had been smashed by Gonggang. This Jiaoliang mountain was very similar to the Mount Buzhou that Gonggang had smashed into. As for whether the legends on earth were true or false, Ning Cheng couldn't be sure. Now that he had entered the vast void, at least one thing was certain. That is, cultivation really existed. He himself had long since surpassed the definition of an ordinary immortal. But what puzzled him was that he couldn't transform into a variety of things at any time, anywhere, like in the myths and legends. Although he knew that there was such a spiritual transformation cultivation method, and he had even seen such a person, he had never seen such a cultivation method. He had only heard about it. Even standing on the deck of the starry sky wheel, one could feel the vast starry sky and the distant void that even one's spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate. Everyone could feel a majestic and vast aura, which made everyone more certain that the place beyond Jiaoliang mountain was the place where the third-step powerhouses lived in the past. Jiaoliang mountain was also a testament to the battles of those powerhouses. Half a month later, the starry sky wheel passed through Jiaoliang mountain and began to descend. Ning Cheng, under the influence of the receiving adversity poison, crazily controlled the starry sky wheel to accelerate. Whether it was the powerful aura of the laws of heaven and earth around him or the Dao charm of the many powerhouses fighting, Ning Cheng didn't have the mood to feel anything. Mang Yong reminded Ning Cheng more than once, but Ning Cheng acted as if he didn't hear it and kept accelerating. If not for the fact that Ning Cheng didn't have any grudges with him, Mang Yong even suspected that Ning Cheng would want to perish together with them. Otherwise, what was the difference between this speed and perishing together? At this speed, even if they encountered any sudden spatial dislocations, he wouldn't have the time to warn Ning Cheng. Fortunately, everyone's luck seemed to have improved. Ning Cheng increased the speed of the starry sky wheel to the extreme along the way. Although they encountered some dangers, Ning Cheng managed to avoid them in time. At this time, Mang Yong started to wonder if his Dao Eye was of any use. In just half a year, a vast domain appeared in front of everyone. The powerful laws of heaven and earth made everyone exclaim in amazement. Some even trembled with excitement. With such a vast domain and such vast laws of heaven and earth, if one could find a place to comprehend and cultivate, how could one not reach the third step of Tao confirming? Not to mention the endless cultivation resources of heaven and earth, even the traces of battle Tao charm left behind by some powerhouses were something that everyone dreamed of obtaining. Ning Cheng stopped at this moment. Brother Mang, this should be equivalent to crossing the Jialiang mountain. Next, we'll part ways here. Mang Yong quickly took out a jade strip and handed it to Ning Cheng. Brother Ning, this is the place where I mentioned the thing. If Brother Ning isn't in a hurry, I can accompany Brother Ning after I return to the fallen immortal market square from the Jialiang mountain. Ning Cheng showed a slight smile but didn't take the jade strip. Mang Yong immediately understood Ning Cheng's meaning and quickly took back the jade strip. He seemed to have added something to it before handing the jade strip back to Ning Cheng. Brother Ning, I swear that the location of the thing you want must be in this jade strip. If there's even half a word of falsehood, I will die of decay. Hearing Mang Yong's vow, Ning Cheng calmly put away the jade strip. Chapter 1260. A few Tao essence ants want to live here. Zhong Wuchen snorted as he watched Mang Yong's trio leave. Ning Cheng put away the Seven Bridges Realm book, and Zhong Wuchen could only stop comprehending the Seven Bridges spirit technique. He knew that if he didn't help Ning Cheng find the illusory sea crystal, Ning Cheng wouldn't let him continue comprehending the Seven Bridges spirit technique. Oh, have you been here before? Ning Cheng looked at Zhong Wuchen with a smile. He had always suspected that Zhong Wuchen had been here before. He had never heard of the illusory sea crystal before. Zhong Wuchen chuckled, I've heard a little about it. I wanted to come here before, but I couldn't even reach the Jialiang mountain because of my lack of strength. Ning Cheng ignored Zhong Wuchen and looked at Peng Yu. Peng Yu, what do you think are the chances of those three surviving? Peng Yu carefully glanced at Zhong Wuchen before speaking cautiously, there are many realms in this place. If the three of them accidentally went to one of those realms, as Senior Zhong said, they wouldn't have a chance to survive. If the three of them had better luck or obtained some realms maps, they might have a chance to survive. Yes, what you said is more pertinent. The first thing we need to do now is to find the illusory sea crystal. You can lead the way. As long as you find the illusory sea crystal, your task will be complete, and you can leave at will. Ning Cheng patted Peng Yu on the shoulder. As soon as they crossed the Jialiang mountain, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the area and found that there were indeed many realms here. Even his spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate it. From this, Ning Cheng could see that Peng Yu was right. Many areas in this area were separated by realms restrictions. Peng Yu was a very good guide. This place was much more dangerous than when they ascended Jialiang mountain previously. But this fellow truly deserved to have devoured the memories of the ancient essence spirit that survived the Jialiang mountain. Ning Cheng controlled the starry sky wheel to avoid some dangers occasionally. Just half a month later, Ning Cheng saw an endless sea in front of him. To be precise, it was a dry sea that stretched as far as the eye could see. The sea didn't have a single drop of water, only a variety of crisscrossing ravines, cracked conch shells, and some fossilized seabed species. Standing by the sea, one could vaguely feel the aura of the once vast sea. Senior, this is the Jialiang Sea. During the war back then, the surface of the Jialiang Sea was pierced through, causing the seawater to flow backwards. In the end, it became like this, Peng Yu explained as he pointed at the endless dry sea. Ning Qing then looked at Zhong Wuchen. Old Zhong, do you know the specific location of the illusory sea crossing crystal? Zhong Wuchen's shriveled old face was slightly embarrassed. I don't know the specific location, so I dragged Peng Yu here. Peng Yu didn't dare to talk nonsense, but he despised him in his heart. Did you drag me here? I'm the one looking for you, but you're ignoring me, okay? This old fogey really did not know about it. Ning Cheng was too lazy to go and talk with Zhong Wuchen, and spoke to Peng Yu. You quickly lead the way. If you can find it within a month, I will reward you with a heavenly heaven pill. Thank you, Senior. I will definitely find the location of the crossing crystal within a month. Peng Yu hurriedly bowed to express his gratitude. He had devoured a powerful life essence and knew a lot of things. But the heavenly heaven pill still held an unparalleled temptation for him. This was a Tao pill that could help him comprehend the second step of Tao essence advancement. Even if one had spirit crystals, they would not be able to buy it. The starry sky wheel, under Peng Yu's lead, sped through the Jiaoliang Sea. At this moment, Ning Qing finally felt Peng Yu's role. Although this fellow had absorbed the memories of his life essence, he was very familiar with this place. Along the way, he even told Ning Qing some of the stories about the Jiaoliang Sea. He even knew where the forbidden areas in the depths of the Jiaoliang Sea were. Although the Jiaoliang Sea had dried up, Ning Qing could vaguely see a large number of artifact crafting materials in the starry sky wheel, as well as some rare treasures. However, Ning Qing didn't have any interest in searching for other things without an antidote for the Saha disaster poison. As long as he could find the crossing crystal, even if he couldn't get rid of the poison temporarily, he could at least contain it for a while. Peng Yu really wasn't bragging. When there were still a few days left, he suddenly called out to Ning Qing, Senior, we've arrived. Even without Peng Yu's words, Ning Qing could see the difference in front. A few hundred miles away from them, there was a large coral reef. Ning Qing had seen too many undersea coral reefs along the way, but this coral reef was different. This coral reef didn't look like the ones he saw before, but more like a dense forest. According to Ning Cheng's estimates, this coral reef had a radius of thousands of miles. Is this where the crossing crystal mirage sea is? Ning Cheng looked at the huge coral reef in doubt and asked in doubt. This time, without waiting for Peng Yu to answer, Zhong Wuchen took the initiative to speak. This should be the right place. The place where the crossing crystal mirage sea condenses is the most attractive place for all kinds of undersea corals. Moreover, among the undersea corals, the red-lip coral and blue bun coral have the strongest survivability and can directly devour other coral species. Eventually, these two corals form the world. Look at the corals in this place, they are mostly red-lip coral and blue bun coral. Ning Cheng put away the starry sky wheel and said to Peng Yu, in that case, you lead the way. Peng Yu walked through the coral reef forest with great familiarity. After just an hour, he stopped. For ordinary people, this place looked no different from the surrounding corals. However, Ning Cheng was an expert in the Tao of arrays. Therefore, he could tell at a glance that this was an illusory array. There is a natural illusory array here. Is this the place where the crossing crystal mirage sea appears? Ning Cheng asked in doubt. Peng Yu replied respectfully, Senior, please understand. The crossing crystal mirage sea can form a top-grade natural illusory array around it. For Senior to see through the illusory array here, it shows that Senior's spirit skills are truly exceptional. According to the memories I obtained, this is the only place in the Jiaoliang Sea where the crossing crystal mirage sea can be found. Okay, you two wait for me outside. After saying that, Ning Qing didn't break the array. Instead, he took a few steps diagonally and disappeared into the illusory array. Peng Yu looked at Ning Qing in shock. He had been thinking about how to break the illusory array, whether to break it by force or by other means. But before he could get an answer to this question, Ning Qing had already entered the illusory array. This kind of Tao of arrays was simply too terrifying. He quickly remembered something and quickly called out, "Senior, I still have something to tell you." It's just that Ning Cheng had already entered the illusory array and couldn't hear his words at all. The corners of Zhong Wuchen's eyes twitched. He knew that Ning Cheng's attainments in the Tao of arrays were not weak. If his attainments were weak, he wouldn't be able to walk around Yin Clan's corner like it was his own backyard. But he didn't expect that Ning Cheng's attainments in the Tao of arrays would reach such a level. Zhong Wuchen considered himself a powerhouse in the Tao of arrays. But compared to Ning Cheng, he felt that he was just bragging. He definitely wasn't a powerhouse in the Tao of arrays. At best, he was just an array formation master with a certain understanding of array formations. As soon as Ning Cheng stepped through the natural illusory array, the first thing he saw was a blue sea. He even thought that he had seen it wrong. But when he looked again, it was still a blue sea. Ning Cheng stepped down and reached out to scoop up a little bit of seawater, but found nothing. It wasn't until this time that Ning Cheng saw it clearly. It wasn't seawater at all, nor was it an illusion, but a scene reflected in the water. With his current spiritual consciousness cultivation and vision, Ning Cheng couldn't help but feel shocked by the scene reflected in the water. His spiritual consciousness penetrated into the blue sea in front of him, and after observing for a while, he finally saw it clearly. The reason for this situation was that there were several blue crystals here. These blue crystals were faintly discernible, but with a trace of the Tao charm of the sea water, they completely integrated with the surrounding space. Was this the illusory sea crossing crystal? Ning Cheng excitedly grabbed one of the azure blue crystals, and sure enough, after he grabbed this piece of crystal, it suddenly changed. The blue sea in front of him turned illusory, and its area also shrank. Ning Cheng suppressed the excitement in his heart and raised his hands. In the shortest time possible, he grabbed nearly 10 illusory sea crossing crystals. At this moment, the illusory blue sea in front of Ning Cheng suddenly disappeared. The last few blue stars flickered a few times in front of Ning Cheng's eyes before quickly disappearing. Not waiting for Ning Cheng to continue grabbing the illusory sea crossing crystals. What's going on? Ning Cheng looked at the gradually dissipating illusory array in front of him and frowned. He quickly took out 8 jade boxes and put away the 8 illusory sea crossing crystals. Ning Cheng had just put away the illusory sea crossing crystals when his eyes lit up, and the illusory array he was in disappeared without a trace. The blue sea water reflected by the illusory sea crossing crystals in front of him also disappeared at this moment. Instead, Peng Yu and Zhong Wuchen appeared in front of him. Why did the illusory array where the illusory sea crossing crystals were located disappear? Ning Cheng looked at Peng Yu and asked. Peng Yu spoke with a trace of fear on his face, "Senior, there is one more thing this junior did not have time to say. Once you enter the illusory sea where the illusory sea crossing crystals are located, you must take away as many illusory sea crossing crystals as quickly as possible. Otherwise, the illusory sea crossing crystals will disappear without a trace. After countless years, the illusory sea will form again. This countless years, maybe 1,000,000 years, maybe 10,000,000 years or even longer." So that was the case. Ning Cheng took out a jade bottle containing the Heaven Essence pill and handed it to Peng Yu. "This is the Heaven Essence pill. Thank you for this matter. If you have something to do, please feel free to do so." "Many thanks, Senior." Peng Yu quickly took the jade bottle and thanked him. After checking the medicinal pills in the jade bottle, Peng Yu put away the jade bottle and hesitated for a moment before speaking. "Senior, the heaven and earth deity's tomb mound is just beyond this coral forest where the illusory sea crossing crystals are. Senior should not go to that place." "Heaven and earth deity's tomb mound? Why can't I go there? What dangers are there?" Ning Cheng asked in doubt. Peng Yu shook his head. "This is just this junior's memory. As for why, this junior does not know." Chapter 1261. Thank you for the reminder. You can act on your own now. Although Ning Cheng had no intention of going to the sacred tomb of the heaven and earth deity, he still thanked Peng Yu. Peng Yu had made a great contribution to finding the illusory sea crystal so quickly. Ning Cheng did not like Peng Yu's character, but he still had to thank him. After Peng Yu left, Ning Cheng brought out the starry sky wheel and said to Zhong Wuchen, "Now you control the starry sky wheel. We'll return from Jiaoliang Mountain as fast as possible and then head to heavens beyond immediately." Leaving so soon? Zhong Wuchen looked at Ning Cheng in doubt. To be honest, even for Zhong Wuchen, it was not easy to cross Jiaoliang Mountain. If possible, studying the 7 bridges spiritual technique here would be much better than heavens beyond. Once his 7 bridges sacred art and 5 bridges sacred art were comprehended, he might be able to find new opportunities in this domain. What else? Old Zhong, I've already told you that the most important thing for me now is to find the illusory sea crystal and the stainless water. Now that I've found the illusory sea crystal, I naturally have to look for the stainless water, Ning Cheng said in a cold tone. Well, I'll let you take priority, Zhong Wuchen said helplessly. After that, he seemed to have thought of something and said to Ning Cheng eagerly, "Daoist Ning, you should have asked Peng Yu. This is a realm where the laws of heaven and earth far surpass the void outside. Maybe it would be more reliable to find the stainless water here than in heavens beyond." Ning Cheng slapped his head. He was really muddle-headed. With a know-it-all like Peng Yu, he had let him go in vain. This place was full of dangers. As long as Peng Yu said that he knew about the illusory sea crystal, Ning Cheng could take him there. Peng Yu naturally would not say that he knew about the stainless water. Since Peng Yu did not say anything, Ning Cheng needed to interrogate him. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng did not have time to answer Zhong Wuchen's words. He just said, "Wait for me here." Then he disappeared in a flash. Daoist Peng Yu. Peng Yu was flying with excitement when Ning Cheng suddenly called out to him. His heart skipped a beat. In order to cross Jiaoliang Mountain, he had waited in the fallen immortal lane for many years. This time, he finally seized the opportunity and risked his life to follow Ning Cheng and the others. Just as he was about to show off his skills and go into seclusion to improve his strength, that terrifying senior Ning called out to him. Could it be that this expert suddenly changed his mind and wanted to force him to reveal the location of the treasure? Peng Yu didn't dare to escape, so he immediately stopped and asked with a bow, "Senior, do you still have something to talk to me about?" Ning Cheng showed a faint smile, as he stepped forward and patted Peng Yu's shoulder. "You don't have to worry about it, I just have something to ask you. If you know, just tell me. I'll give you some benefits. Of course, if you lie, don't blame me for being rude." When Peng Yu heard this, he finally heaved a sigh of relief and quickly replied, "Senior, please ask away. Apart from looking for the Mirage Sea Crossing crystal, I also came here to look for something else, and that is the stainless water. Have you ever heard of such a thing?" After Ning Cheng asked, he directly stared at Peng Yu. If this guy was lying, he would be able to tell right away. When he heard about the stainless water, Peng Yu's expression changed several times. Finally, he respectfully replied, "This junior does indeed know about the stainless water. Moreover, there really is stainless water here." What? Ning Cheng felt ecstatic. He didn't think that this Peng Yu would turn out to be such a lucky star. He had just helped him find the Mirage Sea Crossing crystal, and now there was news about the stainless water. "Hurry up and tell me, where is the stainless water? When the time comes, I'll give you some Tao essence pills for healing and cultivation," Ning Cheng said without hesitation. Peng Yu pointed in the direction of the Mirage Sea Crossing crystal. "Senior, the stainless water is in the heaven and earth deity mound that I mentioned. It's just that it's too dangerous. Many years ago, almost no one came out after going in. After so many years, I'm not sure if it's as dangerous as before." Ning Cheng suddenly frowned. He didn't expect that the stainless water was in the heaven and earth deity mound that Peng Yu mentioned. Seeing Ning Cheng remain silent, Peng Yu felt very worried. He worried that Ning Cheng would take him to the heaven and earth deity mound and then ask him to continue leading the way. Senior, the stainless water is formed from the stainless land. In this place, there is no space, no time, no heaven and earth laws, no grand Dao charm, and nothing else. Every drop of water is formed from the innate aura after the creation of the world and is extremely difficult to obtain. The heaven and earth deity mound has a powerful Dao charm, which makes it difficult for ordinary people to enter. However, there is a lot of stainless water left. Moreover, the stainless water has to be stored in a bottle made from the Mirage Sea crossing crystal. Otherwise, it will be contaminated, Peng Yu explained carefully. Ning Cheng felt even more puzzled. Was Peng Yu lying to him? Although the stainless water was indeed precious and scarce, it shouldn't be this precious, right? If Peng Yu's words were true, then even if he went to heavens beyond of heaven and earth, he wouldn't be able to find the stainless water. Ning Cheng's face suddenly sank. Since you knew that there was stainless water here, why didn't you tell me before? When Zhong Wuchen issued the task, he had issued the Mirage Sea crossing crystal and the stainless water together. It seemed that Zhong Wuchen had not misjudged Peng Yu. Peng Yu knew that there was stainless water here, but he didn't say anything. Zhong Wuchen obviously didn't care about his matters. If this guy hadn't wanted to stay here to cultivate, he probably wouldn't have asked Peng Yu again. None of these old things were easy to deal with. Each and every one of them was cunning. Peng Yu's face turned pale, and he quickly spoke up in a respectful tone, "This junior really has his own difficulties. With this junior's strength, if I followed senior to the heaven and earth god's tomb mound, I'm afraid that it would be a disaster." At this point, Peng Yu didn't wait for Ning Cheng to continue asking. He quickly took out a jade strip and handed it to Ning Cheng. "Senior, this is the location of the heaven and earth god's tomb mound from this junior's memory. Although this junior doesn't know the specific location of the stainless water, I can vaguely feel that it is at the edge of the god's tomb mound and the god's end river." Ning Cheng grabbed the jade strip and looked at it. The jade strip's engravings were quite detailed. "Peng Yu, the stainless water I know doesn't seem to be so precious, right? According to what you said, how many people can use the Mirage Sea crossing crystal to preserve the stainless water?" Ning Cheng still asked the doubts in his heart. Peng Yu quickly replied, "Stainless water is very rare, but it's not that it doesn't exist. Many people can find stainless water in some mystic realms, forbidden areas, or sparsely populated places. It's just that even if they found the stainless water, they couldn't find the Mirage Sea crossing crystal. Therefore, they could only use ordinary jade bottles and restrictions to collect the stainless water. Although such stainless water is also called stainless water, it has been contaminated. It doesn't even have 1% of the true stainless water's efficacy." Ning Cheng finally understood. He guessed that Zhong Wuchen's friend had failed. Apart from not obtaining the heaven and earth law fruit, it was most likely because he didn't obtain the pure stainless water. When three people walk together, there must be someone to learn from. This sentence really couldn't be any more true. A little Peng Yu had taught him so many things. If he hadn't met Peng Yu, even if he could find the stainless water in the mysterious yellow heavens beyond, it would have been contaminated, just like Peng Yu said. Seeing Ning Cheng's expression turn a little ugly, Peng Yu spoke up with even more caution, "Senior, the stainless water is ranked third among the 10 innate waters. Naturally, it is extremely precious. If it were so easy to preserve, it wouldn't be ranked third." "You said that the stainless water is ranked third among the 10 innate waters?" Ning Cheng asked in amazement. He had only heard about the stainless water, but he had never heard of the stainless water that was ranked third. Peng Yu nodded affirmatively, "Yes, the pure stainless water is indeed ranked third among the 10 innate waters. The most precious thing about the stainless water is that it is difficult to preserve." This Peng Yu really knew a lot of things. Ning Cheng took out a few bottles of Dao pills and handed them to Peng Yu. "Dao friend Peng Yu, this is for you. Thank you for your guidance. I also have a question to ask you." "Of course, It doesn't matter if you know or don't know. Peng Yu quickly took the jade bottles. Many thanks, senior. This junior will tell you everything he knows. Ning Qing asked, I've heard about the 10 innate waters, but I still don't know what the 10 innate waters are. If you know, please enlighten me. When Peng Yu heard this question, he immediately relaxed. This junior does know about the 10 innate waters. This junior had devoured the remnant soul's memories. As for whether it's correct or not, this junior isn't sure. The first of the 10 innate waters is the 5-element spirit water, the second is the crossing Tao water, the third is the stainless water, the fourth is the tranquil water, the fifth is the seeking heart water, the sixth is the weak water, the seventh is the unfixed black water, the eighth is the underworld river stagnant water, the ninth is the Xiao Xiao Yi water, and the 10th is the first essence heavy water. Sure enough, he had never heard of many of them. Ning Cheng was just about to speak when he suddenly saw a powerful aura of laws condensing in the distance. Following that, these auras of laws began to collide and explode. Even Ning Cheng, who was very far away, could clearly feel the terrifying spatial fluctuations. Ning Cheng was also a battle-hardened veteran. These powerful clashes and explosions of laws were obviously caused by a battle between top powerhouses. Judging from the intensity of these laws, Ning Cheng felt sure that none of the people fighting were any weaker than him. Peng Yu also felt the powerful spatial fluctuations, causing his expression to change slightly. Senior, the place where the clash of laws erupted was the heaven and earth deities' tomb mound. From the looks of it, someone had already gone to the heaven and earth deities' tomb mound. Ning Cheng called out to Peng Yu, you go first. I have something to do. See you later. After saying this, Ning Cheng's figure flashed and disappeared from Peng Yu's sight. The heaven and earth deities' tomb mound might be huge, but it definitely didn't have many stainless water. Once someone found the stainless water, it wouldn't be a matter of trading it back, but the stainless water would most likely be destroyed. Dao friend Ning, did you ask for any news? Zhong Wuchen, who was standing on the starry sky wheel and waiting for Ning Cheng, saw Ning Cheng return and asked from afar. Go to the heaven and earth deities' tomb mound immediately. Ning Cheng replied without hesitation. Chapter 1262. Okay. When Zhong Wuchen heard Ning Cheng's words, he didn't hesitate and directly controlled the starry sky wheel to rush towards the heaven and earth deity mound. Peng Yu was afraid of the heaven and earth deity mound, but Zhong Wuchen didn't care about it. Peng Yu was right. The heaven and earth deity mound and the Mirage Sea crossing crystal were right next to each other. After the starry sky wheel bypassed the coral reef where the Mirage Sea crossing crystal was located, it only took half a day to rush out of the Jiaoliang Sea and enter a violent land. That's right, whether it was Ning Cheng or Zhong Wuchen, after coming to this place, they only felt one kind of violent feeling. Whether it was their own grand Dao charm or their own consciousness, they both felt irritable and difficult to suppress. In this place, there was an inexplicable bloodlust and killing impulse. What a messy heaven and earth law. Zhong Wuchen sucked in a breath of cold air and said while standing on the starry sky wheel. Ning Cheng understood what Zhong Wuchen meant. After entering this place, there were messy Dao charms everywhere and broken laws everywhere. These broken laws and Dao charms collided with each other from time to time, stirring up all kinds of Dao charm storms. From time to time, all kinds of broken laws and Dao charm storms would hit the starry sky wheel, causing the starry sky wheel to tumble and shake in the void. After Ning Cheng entered the Jiaoliang mountain, all he saw were dilapidated places. Ravines crisscrossed, mountains and rivers rolled back, and traces of battles between powerhouses were everywhere. But in this place, Ning Cheng felt a different aura. This place was obviously a battleground as well. Wherever one looked, there were also broken mountains and rivers everywhere. Fragments of magic treasures and piles of bones were everywhere, and there were even many irregular tombs. These tombs were strangely shaped and definitely not man-made, but formed by the Dao charm of the deceased after they died. But these weren't the reasons why Ning Qing felt shocked. Ning Qing was mainly shocked by the traces of spirit techniques left behind. The ravines on the periphery of the Jiaoyang mountain also had some residual Dao charm. After countless years, these Dao charms' power had weakened and didn't pose a threat to people. Instead, it gave people some benefits. Moreover, the traces of battles left behind in this place contained extremely powerful Dao charm law power. Ning Qing was sure that as long as he accidentally touched these traces of spirit techniques, he would trigger these law-based spirit techniques. This was like a landmine that could be stepped on if one wasn't careful. Such a terrifying place, Ning Qing thought as he sucked in a deep breath. This was only the periphery. Once they entered, how terrible would it be? Not to mention the remnant law Dao charm spirit techniques on the ground, even the space where the starry sky wheel resided was also unstable. Broken laws crisscrossed and collided with one another from time to time, causing a storm of Dao auras to form continuously. Ning Qing was just about to stop controlling the starry sky wheel to move forward when he felt a huge whirlpool of power sweeping towards him. Two black blade lights shot out from the maelstrom and directly tore through the starry sky wheel's defensive restrictions. Ning Qing didn't have much time to think and immediately brought out the Good Fortune Divine Spear. The Good Fortune Spirit Spear's spear patterns and the two black blade light vortexes clashed together, and a huge amount of Dao charm power slammed into Ning Qing's chest. Ning Qing retreated more than a dozen steps before finally dissipating the Dao charm power of the two black blade lights. The starry sky wheel tumbled a few more times in space before stabilizing. This time, even Zhong Wuchen's face darkened. He guessed that Peng Yu would not speak carelessly. The mound of the god of heaven and earth mound was very dangerous. He didn't expect the danger to reach this point. Just an ordinary remnant spirit technique had already put the two of them in a difficult position. Once they encountered the remnant Dao charm of a top-grade spirit technique, they wouldn't have much chance of survival. Ning Qing motioned for Zhong Wuchen to come down from the starry sky wheel and put away the starry sky wheel. This place is very dangerous. The spirit technique that the starry sky wheel encountered was only a remnant from ancient times. It doesn't have any active consciousness. If we encounter such a powerful spirit technique, even if it's just 1,000th of the remnant, I'm afraid we wouldn't be able to survive. Zhong Wuchen no longer had the mood to comprehend the Seven Bridges spirit technique. Ning Qing understood Zhong Wuchen's meaning. The two passive remnant Dao charm spirit techniques also made it difficult for him to deal with them. Once they encountered a powerful remnant law spirit technique with a trace of consciousness, it would put them in even more danger. Old Zhong, if you think it's dangerous, you can go out first and wait for me in the Jiaoyang Sea. After I get out of here, I'll go to the Jiaoyang Sea to find you. Ning Qing said without hesitation. Ning Qing had a vague hunch in his heart that the Jiaoyang Sea had dried up. Although it looked calm, it definitely wasn't a truly safe place. Once something dangerous happened, it might not be any weaker than the Heaven and Earth Spirit Tomb Mound. Zhong Wuchen snorted, I, Zhong Wuchen, have crossed the void. What haven't I encountered? You want me, Zhong Wuchen, to retreat with just a trivial god's graveyard mound? Dream on. Dao friend Ning, you lead the way. Wherever you go, I, Zhong Wuchen, will follow. For Zhong Wuchen, he didn't have to follow Ning Qing or continue to stay in the god's graveyard mound. The Seven Bridges Realm book on Ning Qing was the most important thing for him. If Ning Qing said, Old Zhong, I'll give you the Seven Bridges Realm book. You can stay in the Jiaoyang Sea to comprehend it and return it to me after I get out. Zhong Wuchen agreed to Ning Qing's words without hesitation. But he also knew that he could only think about it. Ning Qing would never hand over the Seven Bridges Realm book to him. After experiencing the Remnant Law Spirit Technique attack, Ning Qing and Zhong Wuchen both became more cautious. These Remnant Law Spirit techniques were no different from the previous collapse of laws for Ning Qing. The previous collapse of laws was the result of the remnant spirit technique's fragmented laws condensing to a certain extent before suddenly triggering. It's just that they rarely encountered this kind of collapse. They had only encountered it once after crossing the Jialiang mountain. In the Heaven and Earth God's graveyard mound, this kind of remnant law spirit technique collapse or sudden triggering was a common occurrence. The two had only walked for less than half a day when they were bombarded by the remnant law spirit technique several times. Whether it was Ning Cheng or Zhong Wuchen, they both suffered some minor injuries. Fortunately, Ning Cheng didn't have much, but he had a lot of healing medicinal pills. Later, Zhong Wuchen directly brought out a giant bell engraved with quaint lines, while Ning Cheng brought out the everlasting Blue Thunder City. The defensive effect of Zhong Wuchen's giant bell wasn't any weaker than Ning Cheng's everlasting Blue Thunder City. Ning Cheng even suspected that Zhong Wuchen's surname was Zhong because of this weapon. Seeing Ning Cheng looking at his quaint giant bell, Zhong Wuchen smiled, "Dao friend Ning, you don't have to envy my giant bell. If your everlasting Blue Thunder City had an artifact spirit, it would definitely be much better than my dustless bell." Sure enough, Ning Cheng chuckled, "Old Zhong, I didn't expect your name to be your weapon. You really have a personality." Zhong Wuchen showed a smug smile, "Of course. Don't look at how your everlasting Blue Thunder City is of a higher grade than my dustless bell. If you wanted to exchange the everlasting Blue Thunder City for my dustless bell, I definitely wouldn't agree." Ning Cheng felt disdainful. Exchanging the everlasting Blue Thunder City for your giant bell? Stop dreaming. Only you, Zhong Wuchen, could think of such a thing. After the two brought out their flight-type weapons, the chances of them getting injured dropped sharply. Some ordinary laurelated spirit techniques would be blocked by the everlasting Blue Thunder City or the dustless bell. At this moment, Ning Cheng finally had time to observe the tombs condensed from Dao charm on the ground. There were many tombs condensed from Dao charm, but there were even more bones on the ground. From this, one could tell how many powerhouses had died here during the Great War. Picking up some of the weapon fragments, Ning Cheng found that they were made from materials that he couldn't even imagine. If he had the heart, he could just pick up the weapon fragments here and sell them in the Void City. That way, he could make a lot of money. Ning Cheng had already set his sights high at this moment. As such, he didn't even put these weapon fragments in his eyes. Zhong Wuchen only had the Seven Bridges spirit technique in his eyes. He even gave Ning Cheng the fragment of the Good Fortune indestructible axe. As such, he didn't even bother to look at the weapon fragments here. Ning Cheng carefully moved forward according to the jade strip map given to him by Peng Yu. Another 4 or 5 days passed by. On this day, the everlasting Blue Thunder City protecting Ning Cheng suddenly shook violently. Ever since he refined the everlasting Blue Thunder City, such a situation had never happened. Ning Cheng was surprised in his heart, and immediately stopped. Zhong Wuchen also saw Ning Cheng's Blue Thunder City shaking violently, and the Dao charm aura seemed to have become a little chaotic. What's going on? Ning Cheng tried to control the everlasting Blue Thunder City. One had to know that he had refined the everlasting Blue Thunder City before. If he couldn't control the weapon he had refined, what could he do in a battle? Zhong Wuchen suddenly spoke up with a solemn voice, "Dao friend Ning, your everlasting Blue Thunder City, just like your starry sky wheel, doesn't have an artifact spirit. The everlasting Blue Thunder City is a famous weapon from the ancient times. Even in low-level positional planes, many people have heard of such a powerful treasure. Could it be?" Ning Cheng didn't wait for Zhong Wuchen to finish and understood what Zhong Wuchen meant. "Old Zhong, do you mean that my everlasting Blue Thunder City's artifact spirit is in this Heaven and Earth spirit tomb?" Zhong Wuchen nodded. "This is the ancient battlefield, and the people fighting here are all powerhouses among powerhouses. It's not a special thing for these powerhouses to possess the everlasting Blue Thunder City. If you broke the positional plane and blew away your everlasting Blue Thunder City, it wouldn't be surprising if you left the artifact spirit of the everlasting Blue Thunder City in this place. Ning Qing didn't answer Zhong Wuchen's words. Instead, his spiritual consciousness seeped into the everlasting Blue Thunder City, trying to feel the exact location of the shaking everlasting Blue Thunder City. After half an incense stick worth of time, the shaking of the everlasting Blue Thunder City grew more and more intense. Ning Qing finally felt the exact location and spoke to old Zhong without hesitation. "Old Zhong, you should be right. The artifact spirit of the everlasting Blue Thunder City must be here." Both the artifact spirit and the everlasting Blue Thunder City can feel each other's existence. That artifact spirit must have some reason to not be able to get away. "Let's head over now." Zhong Wuchen agreed without hesitation. "Naturally, it's up to you. If you want to fight, I, Zhong Wuchen, will definitely help you. But you have to hurry up. The most precious thing about the everlasting Blue Thunder City is not the Blue Thunder City, but the artifact spirit." Even without Zhong Wuchen's words, Ning Qing already knew what the everlasting Blue Thunder City needed the most. He immediately rushed out, and his speed more than doubled. Once the everlasting Blue Thunder City gained an artifact spirit, his defensive strength would increase exponentially. He must not let the artifact spirit of the everlasting Blue Thunder City fall into the hands of others. Chapter 1263. Zhong Wuchen naturally followed behind Ning Qing. After an incense stick worth of time, Zhong Wuchen spoke up from behind. "Dao friend Ning, someone has walked through this path before." Ning Qing understood what Zhong Wuchen meant. After entering the heaven and earth deity tomb, they found Dao charm vortexes everywhere, along with some remnant spirit techniques. But now, after walking for such a long time, they had yet to encounter any remnant spirit technique laws. This could only mean one thing: someone had walked through this path before. Even if there were some remnant spirit technique laws, it meant that someone had already triggered them. It was as if the road was filled with landmines and had already been trampled over. The everlasting Blue Thunder City shook even more violently. Half an hour later, thunder rumbled within Ning Qing's and Zhong Wuchen's spiritual consciousness. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness saw a thunder swamp, which was exactly the same as the place where Ning Qing had first discovered the everlasting Blue Thunder City. The only difference was that the intensity of the thunder here was more than 10,000 times stronger than the thunder in the Law's Way. The flashing thunder completely covered the swamp, and in the middle of the swamp were restrictions. The thunder was even more tyrannical, and countless Dao charm attacks bombarded the swamp. Moving a little closer, Ning Qing finally saw it clearly. It was a little doll made of thunder, less than a foot tall, and a wide blue thunder robe wrapped around the little doll. The place where the little doll stood had a huge thunder crater, and the terrifying thunder Dao charm in the thunder crater couldn't penetrate it even with Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness. 2 black arrows passed through the little doll's body and imprisoned it within the restrictions, making it unable to move. At this time, the little doll kept screaming and rushing towards Ning Qing. Ning Qing looked at the little doll surrounded by thunder and realized that it was the everlasting Blue Thunder City's artifact spirit. There were 2 middle-aged men trapping the little baby. The 2 of them kept condensing Dao runes and bombarding the little baby's body. The little baby formed by the green lightning kept stirring up the lightning Dao runes in the lightning pit to resist. The thunder in the swamp looked amazing, but Ning Qing knew that this little doll wasn't an opponent for the 2 men. If it wasn't for the fact that there was an extremely powerful lightning pit in the middle of the swamp, or if it wasn't for the fact that the 2 of them didn't want to kill the baby would have been killed long ago. "Brother Jingzhou, it's about time. Once I shoot this arrow, this thunder spirit won't be able to activate the thunder Dao ripples within the thunder pit to resist." The middle-aged man who spoke was holding a purplish-red longbow. There was a black arrow on the longbow. The middle-aged man had a long face like a horse, and his ears were as sharp as an elf's. "All right, but after this, Brother Tianqi, don't forget to lend me a hand." The middle-aged man opposite the horse-faced man immediately responded. This person was much more handsome than the horse-faced man. As he stood in the air above the lightning swamp, he gave off a feeling of elegance. The horse-faced man laughed and said without hesitation, "Of course. Ever since Brother Jingzhou and I joined hands, we have never failed. Even if we can't find that place in the end, our harvest here is enough." Ning Qing didn't know who these two people were, but he could tell from the traces of Dao runes on them that they were definitely not weaker than Feng Huangmei of Heavens Beyond. If Feng Huangmei was a creation realm expert, then these two people were also creation realm experts. The purplish-red longbow was pulled back, and the heaven-earth killing aura around the lightning swamp instantly condensed. The endless killing intent made the thunder spirit, which had been imprisoned by the two black arrows, scream. "Hey, someone's here!" the handsome middle-aged man exclaimed. The horse-faced man also saw Ning Cheng and Zhong Wuchen coming over, but he directly ignored their cultivation. Ning Cheng was only at the early stage primordial chaos realm, yet he dared to come to the divine tomb of heaven and earth. Zhong Wuchen's cultivation was slightly higher, but he was only at the half-step creation realm. He was also an ant here. The violent killing intent gathered more and more, and the artifact spirit, which relied on the thunder pit to protect itself, screamed even more shrilly. At this moment, the artifact spirit also knew that if this arrow fell, even if it didn't kill it, it would lose its ability to use the thunder pit and get taken away. Not to mention that the other party was currently at the creation realm. Even if the other party had crossed the creation realm, Ning Cheng wouldn't hesitate to take action against the Blue Thunder City's artifact spirit. The creation divine spear tore through space, rolled up thousands of spear patterns, and blasted towards the horse-faced man. This spear wasn't the traceless spirit technique, but the second stage of the Spear Dao Spirit Technique's Age Realm's 3 stages. Time flies like an arrow, time flies like a shuttle. Since comprehending the first 2 stages of the Age Realm's 3 stages, it was Ning Cheng's first time using this spirit technique against an enemy. The reason was simple. The other party was at the creation realm. At least for now, he still looked up to the third step Dao confirming realm. If not for the slow activation of the 5-colored star splitter arrow, Ning Cheng would have already brought it out. Time passed quickly, and people grew old. Time flies like a shuttle, everything was ethereal, everything turned illusory, as if everything was fake. Time was fake, and space was also fake. The horse-faced cultivator felt that his appearance had aged at this moment. The next moment, he would reach the end of his life. Space disappeared, and time disappeared. Maybe space still existed, and maybe time still existed. It was just that space had distorted, and so had time. Everything in front of him turned unreal under this spear. The time and gray years that were once depicted in the past were now seen by his eyes. This spear swept away all space-time, leaving behind only killing intent. This was a top-grade time spirit technique. The horse-faced cultivator reacted the first time. The black arrow no longer cared about imprisoning the everlasting Blue Thunder City's artifact spirit. Instead, it changed directions and shot towards Ning Cheng. If this arrow had been aimed at Ning Cheng, then even if Ning Cheng could block it, he would have ended up injured. It's just that this arrow's killing intent wasn't aimed at Ning Cheng, but at the artifact spirit. Due to the hurried change of direction, the killing power and killing intent within it had already dissipated by more than half. Boom! A terrifying and violent Dao rhyme exploded. The surrounding lightning Dao rhyme was torn apart by this Dao rhyme explosion. The distorted spacetime disappeared, and everything became real. Ning Cheng's Age Spirit Technique's second stage burst out, causing the black arrow to temporarily change directions and lose the initiative. Under this display of strength and weakness, the difference between the two was clear. Despite this, the black arrow still managed to break through Ning Cheng's Age Spirit Technique's second stage. The Good Fortune Divine Spear's Spacetime Dao Charm directly swallowed the horse-faced cultivator's black arrow's arrow intent Dao Charm. Just as the law vortex formed, it dissipated under the Good Fortune Divine Spear. The swamp where the two fought even tore open a huge ravine. The good fortune divine spear's killing intent Dao charm soared at this moment. In just an instant, it evolved from a low-rank spirit artifact to a middle-rank spirit artifact. Is this a weapon that can evolve? This time, Zhong Wuchen and the handsome middle-aged man exclaimed at the same time. Even if they were experienced and knowledgeable, they had never seen such a powerful weapon that could evolve. It wasn't that there weren't any weapons that could evolve, but under normal circumstances, evolving to a low-rank spirit artifact was already the limit. But now, Ning Cheng had only exchanged one move with his opponent, and his spear had already evolved to a middle-rank spirit artifact. This was simply heaven-defying. The horse-faced man suffered a small loss due to the sudden attack. His Dao charm immediately scattered, his blood and qi surged, and even his sea of consciousness buzzed. However, he didn't care about it at all. Instead, his gaze fell on Ning Cheng's good fortune divine spear. This spear was too powerful. If he could obtain the thunder spirit and use it as the spear's artifact spirit, what would happen to his weapon? Thinking of this, the horse-faced man trembled with excitement. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath. He knew very well that there was still a gap between him and the horse-faced man. Don't look at how he had the upper hand just now. That was because the horse-faced man hadn't targeted him. Ning Cheng was also pleasantly surprised by the sudden evolution of the good fortune divine spear. He knew that the good fortune divine spear could evolve. Usually, the good fortune divine spear would absorb the Dao charm aura of heaven and earth to improve. This time, he used the second stage of the age spirit technique. The good fortune divine spear unexpectedly swallowed the opponent's black arrow's Dao charm aura. It was a pleasant surprise to use this to evolve. From this, it could be seen that the higher the level of the good fortune divine spear's spear Dao charm aura, the better it would be for the good fortune divine spear to devour the Dao charm aura. An ant dared to sneak up on me. The horse-faced man's face turned cold and gloomy. The handsome male cultivator also laughed. Brother Tianqi, it should be 2 ants. 2 ants at the second step, yet they dared to sneak up on us. Brother Tianqi, if I'm not wrong, the everlasting blue thunder city is protecting the primordial chaos flying ant. The thunder spirit you imprisoned in the thunder pit should be the artifact spirit of the everlasting blue thunder city. Congratulations to Brother Tianqi for not only obtaining the artifact spirit but also the thunder city. I don't want anything else. I think this ant's long spear is good, so this long spear is mine. The man addressed as Brother Tianqi had an ugly expression on his face. He could see that even if the artifact spirit and the everlasting blue thunder city were given to him, it wouldn't be as good as this long spear that had just advanced to middle grade spirit artifact. However, he couldn't say anything. After all, he couldn't take all the benefits. At this moment, Zhong Wuchen also laughed. 2 pseudo-world realm cultivators dare to pretend to be third-step experts, bah. If I, Zhong Wuchen, wanted to reach the pseudo-world realm, I would have reached the creation realm millions of years ago. Why would I wait until today? I think you came here to look for opportunities to break through to the creation realm. I, Zhong Wuchen, will give you a piece of advice. He kept these shameless thoughts to himself. The truth might sound unpleasant to the ears, but I, Zhong Wuchen, still want to speak the truth. That is, ever since you used this self-deceiving method to reach the pseudo-world realm, this is the end for you. Old Zhong, how do you know that these 2 are pseudo-third-step experts? Ning Cheng asked in doubt. Although Ning Cheng had a guess in his heart, he couldn't be sure. To be honest, in Ning Cheng's opinion, no matter how strong he was at primordial chaos, he wouldn't be able to fight against a third-step expert. In fact, when he and the horse-faced expert exchanged a move, although he was weaker than the other party, the gap between them was not that huge. Chapter 1264. Zhong Wuchen had a look of lingering fear on his face. I've seen a true third-step expert. Their realm can make you not know how to deal with it. No, it should make you despair. If you don't believe me, wait for me to fight with this guy and show you. As he spoke, Zhong Wuchen suddenly took out his dustless bell, sweeping up powerful Dao rune laws in the air. Those shattered laws were blasted apart by this powerful Dao rune law. In just a few moments, Zhong Wuchen's dustless bell had condensed a virtual interface that far surpassed a domain. Fellow Daoist Ning, do you see this? This is a false world that I condensed. Although I didn't go to the Dao validation false world, it doesn't mean that I can't condense such a thing. When my fake world collides with him, you will know that I am in no way weaker than him, Zhong Wuchen said smugly as he looked at the fake world that the dustless bell had created. The handsome middle-aged man, who had originally wanted to make a move, stopped when he heard Zhong Wuchen's words and saw the dustless bell that Zhong Wuchen had taken out. He even frowned. This was not the first time someone had said that they were at the false world realm. This was the first time someone had said that they were at the false world realm, and they were only at the primordial chaos realm. Moreover, the reason why they were false worlds was because they fused with false Tao. If they could easily crush him, they wouldn't take such words to heart. In fact, all the creation realm experts in heavens beyond were probably no match for that primordial chaos sacred emperor. This time, they had crossed the Jiaoyang mountain to find out if their third step was a fake realm or something else. If not for the example of the primordial chaos sacred emperor in the beyond of heaven and earth, he would not have taken Ningcheng, a mere primordial chaos sacred emperor, seriously. Now, Zhong Wuchen's words made him more vigilant. Could an ordinary primordial chaos divine emperor withstand Mao Tianqi's arrow even if it was a sudden attack? Coupled with the fact that Zhong Wuchen's cultivation was far superior to Ningcheng's, and that Zhong Wuchen had condensed such a powerful false realm, Ningcheng no longer felt fear in his heart. May I ask where you are from, fellow Daoist? I am Tuyuan Zhengzhou. Thinking of this, the handsome man did not attack immediately. Instead, he cupped his fists and asked about Zhong Wuchen's origins. Zhong Wuchen said calmly, Zhong Wuchen, a nameless person from a corner of the underground. Do you want to attack? If you don't, I'll be taking my magic treasure. Although Zhong Wuchen wasn't afraid of this handsome man, he knew that he wouldn't be able to defeat him. If the other party didn't make a move, he wouldn't take the initiative to attack. Chu Yuan Zhengzhou smiled faintly, I was just about to ask Dao friend Zhong about your sacred art. At this point, Chu Yuan Zhengzhou raised his hand and a huge brown brush appeared. It was not that Ningcheng had never seen a cultivator using a pen-type magical weapon. In fact, he had seen a lot of them. However, this was the first time he saw someone using a curved pen like Chu Yuan Zhengzhou. Tuyuan Zhengzhou's magic treasure was a curved pen. Once the curved pen was taken out, it was like a crescent moon, binding all the void that extended outwards from the inside out. The tip of the brush continued to condense powerful nomological Daoist rhymes to strengthen the binding of the void. If one's cultivation was slightly lower, under Tuyuan Zhengzhou's powerful void shackles, one might not even have the ability to fight back. Zhong Wuchen wasn't bragging. The false world formed by his dustless bell directly smashed into the space extended by the curved pen. The two of them didn't fight directly. Instead, the dustless bell's false world space and the void shackles law extended by the curved pen clashed together. The Daoist rhymes exploded once again, and the broken law cut through the void with a sizzling sound. The false world law formed by the dustless bell suddenly split open, and the void shackles of Tuyuan Zhengzhou's curved pen also broke at the same time. In this tentative exchange, Zhong Wuchen fell into a slight disadvantage. Chu Yuan Zhengzhou didn't continue to attack Zhong Wuchen. Maybe he could defeat Zhong Wuchen if he went all out. However, it was useless. His strength couldn't crush Zhong Wuchen. Dao friend Zhong, I apologize for what I said before. You indeed haven't condensed the third step creation realm Dao runes, but your strength isn't much worse than mine. It looks like you're right. What I condensed is indeed a false world. I come from the heavens beyond rest stop of heaven and earth's beyond rest stop. If Brother Zhong goes to heaven and earth's beyond, please come, Chu Yuan Zhengzhou said with a depressed expression. Before he started, he still had a glimmer of hope in his heart that Zhong Wuchen was just talking nonsense. Now that he had started fighting, he knew that Zhong Wuchen wasn't talking nonsense even if they separated after just one touch. After confirming that he had condensed a false world, how could Chu Yuan Zhengzhou still have anything to worry about and continue fighting with Zhong Wuchen? For a Tao cultivator, if this was the end of their life, it would be more uncomfortable than anything else. When the long-faced man heard Chu Yuan Zhengzhou's words, he knew that this old fox no longer had the intention to snatch the item and did not intend to continue fighting with Zhong Wuchen. If he wanted to fight with Zhong Wuchen, he would never reveal his origin. Since Chu Yuan Zhengzhou didn't make a move, the long-faced man knew that he couldn't beat the two of them together. Ning Cheng's previous divine ability was the time-great divine ability, which ordinary sacred emperors couldn't cast. He had the same thought as Chu Yuan Zhengzhou. Anyone who could block his arrow wouldn't be an ordinary primordial chaos sacred emperor. Moreover, he also believed Zhong Wuchen's words that they had condensed a false world. You plotted against me the moment you came. Do you know how to plot against me? Chu Yuan Zhengzhou lost the idea of fighting, and the long-faced man's tone towards Ning Cheng was no longer as tough as before. He and Chu Yuan Zhengzhou only had a cooperative relationship. Once Chu Yuan Zhengzhou didn't make a move, and the two of them dealt with him, he felt that he had no chance of winning. Ning Cheng sneered, so you're Mao clan's old ancestor, Mao Tianqi. You also know that this thunder spirit is my everlasting Blue Thunder City's artifact spirit. You imprison my weapon's artifact spirit, so shouldn't I attack you? Get out of my way, I want to take away my artifact spirit. If Ning Cheng had let it go, Mao Tianqi might have let it go. But Ning Cheng actually wanted his thunder spirit, which was impossible. Lin. A deep roar erupted from the void. Mao Tianqi's Dao charm condensed and directly transformed into the word Lin. This was a word condensed from Dao charm. As soon as it condensed, it crazily gathered powerful Dao charm laws. The Dao charm law aura turned from weak to strong, and it directly transformed into a domineering law power that came crashing down. Under the pressure of the violent Dao charm law aura, Zhong Wuchen and Chu Yuan Zhengzhou could only retreat a little. They left the battlefield to Ning Cheng and the horse-faced man. The creation divine spear in Ning Cheng's hand also swept up the Dao charm of the endless spear patterns and blasted out. At the same time, it condensed into a handprint that landed on the Dao charm law aura of the word Lin. Law breaking. Against ordinary people, Ning Cheng's traceless spear pattern would suffice. Facing this creation realm powerhouse, even if it was a fake world, Ning Cheng had to go all out. In addition to bringing out the traceless spear pattern, he also brought out the law-breaking spirit technique. When the law-breaking spirit technique blasted onto the horse-faced man's Dao charm law, it immediately caused cracks to appear on the Dao charm law. Crack. The traceless spear pattern and the Dao charm of the word Lin finally collided, causing the Dao charm to explode and the laws to collapse. Even the lightning in the thunder crater in the distance dissipated under the collapsing laws. I was wondering who it was. It turns out to be Mao clan's old ancestor, Mao Tianqi of heavens beyond. You're lucky to have met me today. Ning Cheng held back his surging qi and blood and spoke with disdain. At this moment, not only did the Dao charm around him become disorderly, but even his bones started to shatter. It was only because of his powerful body tempering and origin source that he managed to recover quickly. This exchange made him realize that if Mao Tianqi really wanted the thunder spirit, he really couldn't snatch it. Ning Cheng had never learned the spirit technique used by Mao Tianqi, but he had seen it before. It was the Lin seal spirit technique of the 12 words mantra spirit technique. The 12 words mantra spirit technique was a top-notch spirit technique among karma cultivation methods. The most powerful spirit technique of this spirit technique wasn't a single word spirit technique, but a combination of 12 words. A single Lin seal spirit technique was already so terrifying. Ning Cheng was sure that if Mao Tianqi brought out the fusion of 12 words, he would only end up dead. The 12-word spirit technique were Lin, Bing, Do, Zhe, Jia, Array, Zai, Front, Truth, Control, and Seal. Compared to the 9 words mantra spirit technique that Ning Cheng knew before, Ning Cheng even suspected that the 9 words mantra spirit technique was an incomplete version of the 12 words mantra spirit technique. The Lin character spiritual technique put Ning Cheng at a complete disadvantage. Zhong Wuchen and Chu Yuan Zhengzhou, who were watching the fight, could clearly see it. However, the two of them did not think that Ning Cheng was far from being an opponent against Mao Tianqi. After Mao Tianqi brought out his second word spirit ability weapon, its power did not suppress Ning Cheng by a single step. What surprised them even more was that Ning Cheng's dissipating Dao charm quickly condensed again. Breaking laws of heaven and earth. Mao Tianqi suddenly stopped. He knew that there was no point in continuing. As long as Ning Cheng possessed the law-breaking spirit technique, his 12-word mantra wouldn't be able to exert its full effect unless he fused the 12-word mantra. If not for Chu Yuan Zhengzhou and Zhong Wuchen, he would have gone all out to kill Ning Cheng. With these two people here, if he wanted to kill Ning Cheng, then he would definitely suffer a great loss to his essence qi. Moreover, he vaguely felt that Ning Cheng was not completely clueless about the 12-word spiritual technique. His main purpose for coming here was not for a thunder soul, but because he had more important things to do. More importantly, he had yet to completely fuse the 12 words divine art. If he could fully fuse the 12-word spirit technique, he felt confident that he could suppress Ning Cheng with a single spirit technique. As for Ning Cheng's breaking laws of heaven and earth, it was just a joke. Since Mao Tianqi didn't attack, Ning Cheng naturally wouldn't attack Mao Tianqi. His strongest weapon was the 5-colored star splitter arrow. Therefore, he wouldn't use the 5-colored star splitter arrow here. Just as Mao Tianqi thought, without Zhong Wuchen and Chu Yuan Zhengzhou here, he could use the 5-colored star splitter arrow to sneak up on Mao Tianqi. Even if he couldn't kill Mao Tianqi, he could at least seriously injure him. Now that there were two powerhouses spying on him from the side, how could he bring out such a trump card? Fuck off, I can forget about you sneak attacking me once. Mao Tianqi spoke with an ice-cold tone. But why would Ning Cheng pay any attention to Mao Tianqi? His figure flashed, and he unexpectedly rushed towards the lightning pit that trapped the artifact spirit. The three people, including Zhong Wuchen, all froze. Was he looking for death? With such a terrifying lightning pit, even if they rushed in, they wouldn't be able to resist it. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.